factor that puts teams like 17-15 GR in a pretty sticky spot here, because we were talking about how they were locked in, so their transition is going to be interesting to watch from that east edge. I'm also looking at S-Eagle's squad, who've been on the warpath, and they've managed to accrue 3 points for it. How are they going to fare on their southward swing?
This circle has been all over the place this game, John. Now moving over towards that western side, and you've got Stranger, who are sat on that western edge. They do only have 3 players, but good compound to control. Tokyo's still in the game, managed to just edge his way down over towards that western plateau, which will keep him safe for quite a while, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes into a top 7 from that position. Canina Power playing their game very slow on the southeast. 17-15 continues to leapfrog through the map.
Okay.
One for all, let's happen.
They cut straight through the center of Quarry from their compound, and that transition, I don't think I expected that. I thought they might have swung south past S-Eagle's squad, but no, they've gone straight down through the low ground. The difficulty they have now is getting up the other side of Quarry, right, with teams on their north, like you were talking about. One for All has that oversight from the north edge, and also from the south side as well. You've got a lot of pressure coming through on that edge. It's going to be very difficult to move past Star Esports, and they're kind of locked in again. So maybe they like playing in these locked in positions, but it's going to be tricky nonetheless. Canina Power may have had the same idea, but it's not going so well for them.
Yeah, thriving in the claustrophobia. General was left behind from 17-15. You can see right here, has a nade. Look to lob it downstairs. We get a bit of tag damage off, but no. Just leave him to it. This position is fairly doomed. I can sort of understand why he takes it up, because it gives some cross angles over towards the rest of his squad, who are just sat inside the warehouse. But yeah, he's going to have a rough time of it now. There's a lot on his shoulders to win this fight. It is a 2v1, so very possible.
Power taking a slowdown as well. If he's got some nades, if you've got that oversight, the staircases are a little bit more treacherous. There's window shots that can go through, but they've got nades of their own. Canina Power have to step out to get them in, though, as Gentle has a smoke bloom right on the rooftop there. Gives it a little bit more run out. A nice high nade up through the staircase, but not really finding anything. In the meantime, Dagestan swell in on the south. This fight does just keep getting harder and harder for the player upstairs.
Yeah, General's in a pretty tough spot. Luckily for him, he is playing on the 3-story, so there's plenty of positions where he can juke around the grenades. That will require some skill, a little bit of finesse from this guy, let's be honest. But I do think that right now he's taking quite a subtle approach with the smokes, keeps banging out these nades. I think that was the 3rd one now gone for Canina Power. Drops a nade down. That's massive, actually. Might do a lot of damage, but didn't quite cook it long enough. No first aid kits, though, so this is difficult.
It's bandage central here for Gentle. As he gets lit up from the crossfire there. Zero goes down, and they're going to have to hunker in and get this res. Shockwave have moved in on the north edge, so there's 2 teams now with full oversight onto this angle, and I don't think Gentle gets out of this. The question is, what damage can he inflict on his path? Oh my god, a minute, take it back. He's going for 1. Traded off. I thought he might have had it there, but Kaya able to just about sneak the shots in. And that is the end of Gentle. Circle closes on the west side of Quarry.
Yeah, tough game there. I think the boys in 17-15 did their best job they could. The problem came with the fact that Gentle just had not enough to deal with the guys there on that side. Some good nades. That first grenade he sent down the stairs, if he just cooked it a little bit longer, that could have been devastating for the 2 players underneath. Might have got the initial knock into the second flush. But you never know. It's how these things do go. So now they've lost that off angle on the eastern side. 17-15's made a ton of noise from that warehouse as well whilst trying to support Gentle. So One for All as well as Star should know their location. So getting out from that warehouse, like you said earlier, John, very difficult.
Tricky manoeuvres now, but they've got a slice of peace for the time being. Dagestan want to get rid of the rest of Canina Power. Shockwave do as well. Once that happens, it'll be a little bit easier. That nade connects with Zero and the spray down as well. Dagestan light up for a point, and now they can start to shimmy southwest with the rest of Canina Power. Well, just the one player of Canina Power actually moves a little bit further west as well onto that low ground. Shockwave are making a break. They're trying to use some cover as well. Canina Power have 1 player left and make that none, because Wandu able to put the final nail in the coffin. Shockwave break west.
For Shockwave, this has been a tough push for them. Obviously, they took that northeast side, and we had this nasty western shift. So, although they had a ton of space to play with, and they weren't in too many fights, so many locations around Quarry have already been taken up early. Stranger might just get the best end of the stick here purely because they've been outside of the fight for so long, which does make their life pretty easy, right? And again, like I said earlier, 8-8, you got Tokyo over towards that north side. He's just living. There's absolutely no one to assault him right now.
Nade over the top from S-Eagle's squad over towards Star Esports. They've already got the knock. Those two look pretty good, but they don't quite make it the right side of the sandbags there. Another one from Rolex. As he cooks it up, that's good for one, and a knock as well. Default down, and this is an excellent opening. S-Eagle's squad on a tear this match. Rolex leading from the front.
Yeah, I mean, Rolex has been in the game for a long time. It's just surprising to see him have such a massive effect right now over in the Eagles. Great nade from him again, straight through the warehouse. They do need to get back a little bit before that nade did a huge amount of damage. That might have been absolutely horrific if they didn't get out of the way in time. And Shum with the DBS.
Has the one on the corner, holds well, has the teammates to back him up, but doesn't need it. Goes for the shotguns, misses the third. That was a crucial knock that was missed there. With two players on the inside, there was a chance, but now they can step out, fully suppress this corner, but he's doing a lot of damage here. Two players very low, doesn't have any first aid, doesn't look good with the meds. Now he's stepping forwards, wanting to change things up, but doesn't have the ordnance to do it either. With a nade that could change things. But he's just keeping this pressure on as it slowly fades away from him. Star Esports missed their chance, but Dagestan hit the mark and take the final player down for them. S-Eagles squad, though, up to 6 limbs, and they have to break further west still. They seem to be rolling straight on through anything without too much resistance.
Yeah, it's slightly sloppy on the approach towards that player on the outside, but again, I don't mind it too much. It was a fairly decent take on the compound, good nades, and then very well placed through the other side. Snakes in the logo, snakes in the grass for them too.
Dagestan biding their time. Already, S-Eagles squad have caught up to 8-8 Academy's position on just those limbs that they've been able to accrue. 10 teams are there, a strafe off from 1-2. That puts 10 teams away. We are now into single-digit teams with 8 teams remaining as they start to fall like flies. A spray down for one for all as King hits them with the spray. Nade down as well. Cook looking good, a lot of damage, but not quite finding the flush. There it is, though. The rest of the team move on through. Nice smash. Blue TM DX out of the way from this northeast side.
Yeah, I think when you look at the guys from One For All, again, they made a really astute rotation in the early game. They knew exactly where they wanted to go to isolate a lot of the fighting for themselves. Again, they take the singular location on the northern side, leave everything else to the stragglers that come through on the south. And now they have a lot of control. And 4 players. Likely, they've got quite a lot of loot still left to work with. So this has been a pretty damn good game for One For All so far. Fairly happy with how they've played. Black's on the squad as well, and he's always been a very strong player within EMEA. So it's good to see him again. I think he usually plays over on Kanina Power, if I'm not mistaken, but moves across over towards One For All.
It's going well for them right now. See if they can keep things up. They started off a little bit quiet there, but they have really ramped up the pace on the north side of this quarry, now up to 7 eliminations. 17-15 GR. They are kings of the lock-in, but are they going to be able to escape now? Because the nades still stopping them from getting out of this quarry. This was their big challenge, right? As soon as they took that low ground rotation, getting out of it was always going to be their major challenge. And with 7 teams remaining, it's likely that they don't see too much value for this position that they've been able to survive in for too long.
I think the main takeaway for me for 17-15 is they took a really proactive approach, and I like their rotation they made. They knew that a lot of the teams on that south side would get cut out, and they did. So for them, they have lived longer because of this approach, and they knew they could make it with the timing they had from that eastern edge. So it's not the end of the world for 17-15. I think they just show some kind of brain within this squad, which is nice to see. Dagestan, though, they take a hefty knock there from Rolex, who I think must be now up to 1,000 damage total.
Rolex, another nade, has the team bombarding away as well. A lot of nades being used in these mid-stage circles, right? A little bit before we would normally expect to see them. They're having quite an impact, but it's going to open up these late circles. Coming fierce, right? Those teams aren't going to be able to clear terrain as they would like by putting this ordnance down range so early on. It's a lot of Molotovs being used. You can see Eslam now very, very much just on those smokes at this stage as Dagestan fall to the heat that S-Eagles squad are bringing.
Yeah, seem to know exactly where he was as well. It's an odd one, but
talented.
Again, very talented. Must have just used the audio cue. I can imagine that's the only reason. Stranger, they made their way through the field. This was a difficult push for Stranger. Again, they have 3 players, but it's only 2 there for Big Baby. And that nade could be the end for them.
I think that is my favourite team name as it goes in this qualifier, Big Baby. It's you know, just owning up to it, really. They're like, you know what, we might cry. We might have a bit of a wobble. Maybe we are going to throw our food out the high chair.
That is such an unfortunate grenade. The first one that came through from Stranger bounced off the little edge there and then through the front door. Didn't do any damage. Likely to fall, I think. 8-8 did make himself into that top 7. Such a crazy shuffle he made over towards that western side early. 1-4 still dealing with 17-15. They are down a player, and 17-15 still as 3. I'd imagine the Eagles might take some kind of shots over towards them soon.
Flavius getting rezzed on up for 1-for-all, so they can stay together. Keep things together on the back line. Smarty, still so much pressure over towards 17-15, but only 1 smoke. A nice spray down to Rolex, but doesn't quite connect for the full flush. And again, this lack of nades now is what's keeping 17-15 GR alive underneath 1-for-all and S-Eagles squad. This bridge, their shelter from the bullets, nades going either side of it would be the end of it. Well, they are surviving for a little longer. 8-8 Academy, still with Tokyo surviving.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for him not. Like I said, that rotation he made was very silent. I think as soon as you see that circle head over towards the western side, you know so many teams are going to get trapped in quarry. They'll all have to fight their way out from that position. So it's just a case of, I'm just not going to make any noise whatsoever. There's no need to. 1-for-all, battling off versus the Eagles here. Now, this is the big fight inside the lobby, because 1-for-all's had a pretty extraordinary game so far. Now they've got to face off against this team who's been barreling their way through on that eastern side for some time now.
Flavius peeking the ridgeline. Smarty goes down. That was their back off angle, but there is a player close by to look to get that res quickly, which they'll need to do with the circle crunching in. They need to hold for 17-15 GR, but they're striking while the iron's hot. S-Eagles squad have got this off angle and may slow things down, but they've managed to get closer, 1 step further forwards towards the lip of this quarry. If they can get over it and escape, it would be a miracle. But Phantom goes down first. I don't think this is going to change because Tornado, hunkering down behind this rock, has 2 players from S-Eagles squad to deal with, and the rest of 1-for-all besides.
Get a 4th place from this play is really damn good, honestly. 6 elims now for Rolex. Devil does fall in the backlines there, and eventually the circle's going to push them all in, so they need to get that res off as quickly as possible. Up comes Banner. Tornado in a very tough spot now. Tokyo will get himself a 3rd place off the back of this, which is insane to me for 8-8.
How on earth have they managed to achieve that? Tokyo biding his time, potential to extract more value here. Right underneath, though, and I don't think it's going to go his way. It's only a matter of time. Goes spraying for 1, looks for 2. No, it's finally the end of 8-8 Academy's approach here, but S-Eagles squad have more to go. There is a spray down and a nice answer from King. Smarty, now the last to stand, a low amount of HP as S-Eagle squad. They continue it, they keep it going how they started. And that is a real strong statement. Take down Team Spirit, win the first match. It is S-Eagle squad to be able to take chicken dinner.
Easy game for them. Very, very well played. Honestly, a really confident game coming through from the Eagles, which is lovely to see. And again, I think if you're checking out the Eagles in that match, Rolex just had such a massive impact throughout that entire game. Again, the big teams that I need to focus on there are definitely 17-15 from... They were playing on the back foot that entire match, still managed to get themselves a fourth place. Should have been a third, not for 8-8 Tokyo. And One For All, who made a very, very strong and smart decision to push over towards that north side of Quarry. Eagles just kind of win it off the back of brute force, though.
I mean, if it works, it works, right? They swung through, they cleared that south side. Teams let them close. And it did not pan out. 14 eliminations, 24 points added to their tally. That will see them clear into first place. But I liked One For All a little bit more slow and measured on that northern side. Not too many teams allowed to move past them, which is really what panned out well for them. Able to get that second place finish.
Yeah, really, really nicely done from a lot of these squads. AA Academy gets so many points off the back of that. 9, which is silly. Again, the other big one is Team Spirit going out in 13th. I think they actually went out first, but they're able to pick themselves up 2 total points from the initial eliminations. Again, a bit of an odd hold that they held over towards the Woodlands. I think one of the players just gets caught off there by S-Eagles, and then it's just a case of... all hands on deck, but the boat is already sinking.
It felt like they just couldn't withstand the backfill pressure and speed that S-Eagle squad were going for. It felt like they didn't expect it. It felt like they were just an iceberg in dark waters there to them. And I expect better from Team Spirit, as I have continuously been expecting better of them for the last, it feels like 7 to 8 months now. I want them to pick up their feet, but they still have a little bit more time to do so with 23 matches left to play. Throughout that all, though, I think it was definitely S-Eagle squad putting on a workshop, and I think it really exacerbated the problem that we were talking about during the game, where teams are holding so close to one another. They're not extending their influence, and S-Eagle squad are able to just go fight to fight to fight, not really being bothered by too much else.
Yeah, and I think that was the difficulty for a lot of squads, is that they were swooping in towards the end quite literally, which is great to see. It's great to see from the S-Eagles. But we're going to head to a quick break ourselves and swoop on out of here, but we'll catch you in just a sec. As will every other team, to make sure they are in that top 2 to ensure they head through to the PMSL EMEA full split. So again, you got to keep up these numbers.
Yeah, absolutely need to keep up the pace, because it's 24 matches. It's a pretty decent length of set, which in general we tend to see the best players rise to the top over that number of matches, which is really obviously what you want to achieve with the qualifier. That's exactly what we're looking to do here, and we're looking to do it over on Miramar. From the west side in the middle down towards the southeast side on Puerto Paraíso, we're getting stuck straight on in. From Monte Nuevo, we'll see if there's any hot drops going on this time around. Looks like quite a few teams potentially dropping Dola Pozzo there.
No, not again. This is the classic behavior. So one location on the map where everyone wants to go. And to be fair, El Pozzo is a very fantastic position to be playing in, but you need to be a very strong team to command the respect to play in that position. It's a lot of area. 2 teams can technically hold in it as well. Unfortunately, it's not likely to provide you the best of rotational spots. Luckily, I think it is just Star heading over towards this position. I think a couple of our teams are heading slightly further. That includes One For All. Team Spirit down towards our south side, who certainly need to up their performance from that last game. Bit of a shoddy one. I think that initially the rotation was good. They seemed pretty dominant in the early game, but they came to a pretty heavy standstill over towards that western side. Another very heavy shift down towards the southeast, more water included. This seems to be a bit of a beach day for a lot of teams.
Yeah, they've get their swimmies on, get their sun cream out. Don't want to catch a burn. It's pretty nasty stuff out there. Make sure you stay safe, drinking plenty of water, stay hydrated. But no super hot drops just yet, although a few teams yet to touch ground. We'll have to wait and see if anything more is going to pop off, because Big Babies... Oh, no, wait, hang on a minute. That's Far Voice Gaming. Pretty close by to danger. Looks like maybe they're completely unaware of it as well, because Brother in Arms are right there. A lot of their players very close by. Okay, yeah, the vehicles are driving past. He's going to know there's players nearby now. Question is, does he catch someone off guard? He's farming for a weapon. Has got a Mini 14, but instead, Brothers in Arms, they're dipping. They're off. They're on their jollies.
Yeah, tough position to play. I think if you ever take a fight in concrete, there's really no escape from that position. It's so easy to pincer in those compounds. Yeah, the Mini 14, but if you don't have a sight on it, there's really no point to take shots. So I think for him, he escapes with his life. Impact realistically alongside with the Brothers in Arms. Here is the Eagles on our screen. Head down towards Old Lost Leonis. They're playing northeast side. You know, One for All, who played Impala, still making their way across there. It was a bit of a long drop for them, but they'll be happy that their position is starting in Impala, because they get a very, very good head start on the game in terms of where the circle did pop.
Dagestan, they're playing right now on the south side of Los Leones. Will push out past Kanina Power, most likely, but they've got the S-Eagles squad on their north edge. Need to make sure you stay behind cover against those guys. They are ready to take your head off.
See Dagestan here down towards that southern edge of Los Leones. Eagles are all very clumped up towards that northeast side. They have a really good opportunity to take control of the high ground that sits over towards the east, but I think typically you sort of want to wait until that circle comes through on zone 2. Difficulty for Dagestan right now is that a lot of teams are going to be on their way very shortly over towards Los Leones. Going to be trying to take residence up in that location soon. And I think that S-Eagles have set themselves up for a good game in terms of not centering too far in the middle of Los Leones. You play on the outside, give yourself an escape route, but also give you the opportunity to scout teams as they come in. And I think that's the one big thing a lot of people don't think to do, is that playing on the outside of cities is great. Because like we say a lot in Pubg Mobile, it gives you that opportunity to escape, to get in your vehicles and leave. But more than anything, it also gives you opportunity to get the sound cues from vehicles coming, from shots off in the distance, and from just seeing players, which is probably the thing that most of you in your game will be doing from a spot like that. So yeah, very, very important for SE Eagles. And with the rotational pass that will come through from Minas Generalis, yeah, this is a nice spot to be in.
It'll be interesting to see how the dynamic from that last game kind of transfers over as well, with what we saw a lot of teams playing very, very close-knit as a team. So, I mean, you can see even here, right, Far Voice on their rotation, they're within 100 meters of each other, which in general reduces your overall control, reduces your overall information gathering, and allows more teams to be playing close by to one another. And on Miramar, I feel like this is going to be really interesting to see how that actually impacts the flow of gameplay, because normally what you'll see teams do on Miramar is establish a fairly wide split. I mean, you know, over 200 meters, say, especially in these early circles, to be able to get as much information on board as possible, to be able to give themselves as much opportunity for that escape that you are highlighting. As well. So teams will need to try and keep that in mind as they move into this desert match.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's less of a concern here, though, with this circles. I think for most teams, they have a general good idea of where squads are going to be, which is within Los Leones, over towards our eastern side, playing around the coastal area on Puerto Paraíso, as well as Impala. South side of Labandita is actually really rough to play in, so a lot of this is going to be controlling the teams coming in from that northwest edge, and teams don't want to get picked off early, because, like you say, this is the map where you really do need all 4 of those corners, all 4 of the pillars pillars on your team to stay alive, so you have that strong foundation to play into the late game. If you don't have them in a circle like this, your life's going to get difficult. Your life's going to get really, really tough.
Not nice. Not nice at all. Team Spirit, they're making their way around the south edges of Los Leones. They're playing the high ground. You see, they gather that information from the high ground. They're scouting out, looking for vehicles, looking for any players, sneaking about as they slalom down the hill in Effect's vehicle there. Having a tough time with the bumps, but it is Miramar. You expect that to go on through. They'll make their way closer to the hills to the southwest of Impala. Canina Power, they are very, very central on this circle, close by. They've got some neighbours in the form of strangers. They will not want them to come a calling.
Yeah, I think they just shot them off for the time being, trying to keep them at bay. Again, there's very little awesome positions to be playing in over towards this eastern side. A lot of times you'll even see teams play over towards the warehouses that are sat underneath One For All in Impala, which is right on the low ground, specifically just because it's out of the way, it's out of the action, and you can just, it's a very boring play style to just sit, and I probably wouldn't do it in my games at home, but you can just sit down there and just live the majority of the game out and then slowly crawl up the hill for the end game. So you might see some teams take that approach later on. But for the time being, teams are just clumping up in whatever compounds that they can get themselves a hold of at the moment. Surprisingly enough, not a lot of teams banking over towards Los Leones, actually trying to get further over towards that high ground that sits on the eastern side and playing around Puerto Paraíso.
I think it's probably fairly wise getting involved in Los Leones this early. I mean, it's the 17-15 strat, right? Getting into the middle, you get locked in. See if they do opt to go for it, because actually 17-15 GR on that north edge, still yet to make their way into the zone. The next circle will be popping fairly soon. The second zone on Miramar can be fairly nasty, but that central clump is really tightly packed.
Yeah, very much so. And this is what happens when you push so far over towards that eastern side. I get why they do that in terms of you trying to play for the high ground there. You want to set yourselves up for the best success. But with a shift like this, heads up towards La Vendita, dear me, this is where I can imagine from watching that last game, Getzo is not going to take advantage of this. There is a nice little compound sat in the middle of La Vendita here that they could probably pick up and just shoot people off from all the angles. Depends how well they're looted up here, but realistically right now they should be moving up to that. They're placing themselves literally in the compactor right now on that northern side. So many teams are going to be moving north from that south side, and Getzo is the lone knight that's going to be holding them back. Very, very curious to see.
I'm also looking at One For All on the east side. They've yet to actually leave from Impala fully, but they're going to need to. The speed at which they're doing so, I mean, it's the lack thereof, I think, is probably more apt to say. The lack of speed there has allowed a lot of other teams to push forwards. Getzo are making a break for dead center. So are Canina Power, Far Voice. We're right on the south side on board with Far Voice right there. They've yet to get into this next zone. Brothers in Arms, they're pushing in on this northwestern side. Currently, they've got a 2-2 split with the rest of the players looking to try and move on in. But you can see that's under duress from the eastern side as Blue Tie MDX on the east of them will try and slow this approach. But with that backstop, they're probably going to be pretty happy with it. They have actually got 3 players actually for Brothers in Arms on the northwestern side.
Getzo's brain engages and they do take that central compound in La Vendita, so happy to see that. I was worried that they were going to give up a golden opportunity there. They firmly grasp the ticket.
I was just living up to Silence's name there, leaving a little bit of quiet, but he wants a little bit more quiet than this right now because Blue Tam want to chase this down. UMP around the corner, sprays one, but traded out. A little slowdown for Blue Tam DX to get this res, but not too much pressure on them. They've allowed Brothers in Arms remaining duo to get away, but they've taken a player out. They've given their forward path a little bit more chance to get around the edge of the La Vendita crater.
The La Vendita crater is going to be a big landmark here going forward, John. It's a bit of a difficult one, especially over towards that western side. Brothers in Arms are currently holding off teams. Star is also fighting with Asia Mix on that northern edge. Here's Stranger. Currently going up against One For All, who are finally making their move. Flavius is down, though. Tough start for them.
Smarty.
The nade.
Spray onto the rotate. It's looking flash and fresh in the vehicle, but has to hop out and start doing some damage. You want to get that flush over towards Flavius. King moving into back Smarty up. On the edge, though, Monkey has a chance to get over the wall. It doesn't quite manage to get away from Smarty on the cross spray. The ping out comes through, tries to vault over, but not into cover in time. Black up to the window. DBS shots on through, but takes lick of damage in response. Flavius still bleeding out. Smarty has been down in the meantime. In comes King, trying to back up his teammate, but there's a lot more damage pouring out, and the Strangers are holding strong on the east side.
Yeah, very difficult fight now for King. Couldn't get Flavius up in time, and I think it's just a mismanage in terms of the communications there. Good shots from King. Needs to clean up now, but cannot do it as Tree will be able to finish that fight off for them. Yeah, miscommunication there, I think, in terms of going for the res and the player pushing up to the window and Black just gets taken down. I think that they had enough pressure there. They could have backed off, potentially got two of their players up, and Stranger really wouldn't have had much opportunity to fight back there. But yeah, that is just in the moment. It's tough. You're under a lot of pressure here in the qualifiers to get stuff done. So I can understand it. I can absolutely understand it. But that fight does go the way of Stranger, who capitalized off the back of that mismanagement.
Asia mix now onto Shockwave. This is on the northeast side. It's a little bit isolated. Potential for 8-8 Academy to third party if they want to flex out back to the east to control all of this north road side. I wouldn't actually put it past them to try and pull that one off, but shots, nades starting to ring on out, and a lovely nade over onto Shifu. There's finally some off-angle lighting up coming on through. I think they haven't really flexed all the way out, but Mina will slow down just a little bit. Shifu not yet rezzed, but they're looking to do so in the meantime. A second player falls. Iron Owls able to find one. Far Voice staying alive, nice and effective in the fight, but they've lost one, and they're playing as three.
It's still a difficult fight for them to take. I think Dagestan puts the hurt back on towards Far Voice a little bit more than they expected. I think this has been pretty successful so far for Far Voice. This is a question of dismantling the players that are currently in Longhouse now. That is the difficulty, because they are close by and they do need to move through them. Utility will be very important, but we're out to this very empty fielded area. Getso should have a very good read on this game.
They've got a lot of open ground around them, very difficult to approach. And with teams using a lot of ordnance, not really carrying as many nades as we're used to seeing at the international level. Potential for things to get quite interesting here. If they can't really get assaulted on, you try and crash onto that compound, you can't nade out through the windows. There's not much you can do. 8-8 Academy spot at a premium right now. You can see that central area, and I think, yeah, they kind of realize that that's too much pressure for one player to hold. You have to fall back, and players are 4 on this north edge. There's still 2 teams out to that east side, a team still out to your north, and with the ridges on that roadside, they're playable, but the angles that you can get approached from are numerous and very, very deadly.
It's a difficult one to deal with, and I think that most teams are having a difficult time just purely because they are stuck on the outer edges. They don't want to play too far forward over towards those open areas, and by the time you even get close towards that roadside, you're likely having to expend a lot of utility just to get there. So teams who have been diligent in their looting, or at least have been able to get through some fights fairly unscathed and be able to loot up their opponents, they might have a better time for the back of this. We center up with the road itself cutting through the center of this circle. I think with this one, Asia Mix and Shockwave likely wanting to conclude their engagement on this east side.
Shifu seemingly getting trapped in this longhouse. I wonder if they think they've cleared it. They need to be worried. He is stepping, so they should be aware now. Backing up for Dagestan, trying to stay alive. A lot of shots ringing out here. Shifu takes a lot of damage, has to step out wide, and there's cover from a teammate to keep him alive for the time being. Can he get some healing done? Because Luna's down, trapped outside for Far Voice. Third-party potential from the southwest edge as S-Eagles gang can start to move on in. Shifu falls all the way back and gives ground. Nice and timely to do so.
Yeah, again, it is hard dismantling players off this position. Losing a player early like that is bad, and Shifu is kind of defined as this ninja-like player, just in and out all the time. Very, very strong. Needs his teammate in that situation. He's just not up. In come the S Eagles, though. They've identified this as a position that they could easily take advantage of.
Oh my god. All right. Finding only the one in response for, I think that was 5 nades, 6, 7 nades now in an S Eagle squad. Continue the pressure. 2 knocks found now. 8 smokes in the backpack for Rolex as well, as he waits for the player to peek out wide, and he gets the drop on the trade. 3 eliminations now for S Eagle squad, and they keep it rolling. Up towards the north side now, they have Kanina Power to worry about.
Yeah, they'll just move through. I think that they do need to head up towards that northern edge now. They could probably play over towards that eastern side where Big Baby and Stranger are currently playing. This is the fight I was talking about earlier between Shockwave and Asian Mix. With them controlling so much space on this eastern edge, one of these teams wants the other to lose early. With Shockwave losing a player, though, this feels like a big opportunity for Asian Mix.
Shockwave spray immediately taking the head off of Lost. He has no idea what just hit him. Magnazada turns up the heat here as they descend now, looking to back up his teammate onto the wall, both dodging the knock from the nade. Keme for Asia Mix wants to try and flow a little bit closer to that door. Magnazada keeps up the pace. Molotov to the back lines, a lot of damage sent in. It's going to make things tricky. Asia Mix struggling to hold off Shockwave as they approach right now. Isolating Lost, cutting him off from retreat, making sure that that res can't come through. Jakey in danger, a crossfire potential there between him and Keme, but steps in and Magnazada has the pump action, and another knock is found. Steps out wide, Magnazada doesn't even care. He's going straight on in, straight to the thick of it, and he does finally get bitten back. Potential spray down and flush from Keme, but he has bigger fish to fry as Jakey takes him down. Magnazada can get rezzed. Wondu is out, but this northeast side is all Shockwave.
That's kind of crazy that Shockwave will pick up that engagement like that. I felt like this was going to be an Asia Mix victory from them, but no. Shockwave will just fly on through with Magnazada. Great engagement. 43, not easy to pull off. Team Spirit now over towards that western side. They've attempted to get as close as possible just towards the lip here. They have lost one player, I believe.
Not quite able for Getso to find the shot there for Ked. Cover off that spray onto Team Spirit, who, playing as 3, they did suffer a casualty, but they managed to get 3 elims for their troubles. Look how evenly spread these elim points are. There's so many teams on 3 and 4 eliminations right now. The number of conflicts we're seeing just in these microcosmic situations, kind of wild. S Eagle squad, they might have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew, but they still got 1 player in the fight. It's King, trying to hold it down with the DBS, and finally they're out of the mix. They will be taken down to the lobby leaders. Will bite the dust to the strangers. Licio is down, but they've still got 3 players alive. A roll-up comes in now from Big Baby. Nades over the top into the longhouse. Survives the first barrage. The second, will they be so lucky?
Yeah, I think with Stranger, they played this fight really well. And you got to remember, this is a team that just took the assault so recently. They will lose another, but again, potential 2v3 here. Very difficult to make work, but they're going to try and make it happen. They have to make it happen. They want to control this area for much longer. It's a 3v2.
Dennis up in through the window now. Into the jaws of the strangers. Retreating upstairs for Tree, but the nades are taking down his teammates in the meantime. And a long shot comes from the outside. I think that was Kanina Power chiming into the scrap as strangers fall. Big Babies on 4 alive. We'll have to push north.
That's a good cleanup there. I think they've been waiting to try and take this fight for quite some time, just angling towards it, checking out which teams was there, and then sending the ordnance with the nades, etc. Very nicely done. Team Spirit, they try and make a quick getaway, but it's been watched the entire time. You know, Badussi over on this side of the map, that's on the southern edge. It's so difficult to push in. Unless you've got one of these spots early on, you're going to have a hard time of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that 8 Academy didn't try and regroup south onto this position. Remember, a lot earlier on, I was talking about how this position, quite hard for one person to hold. They had the opportunity to regroup 4 in. I guess, you're controlled by a lot of outside presence. There's a lot of teams hanging around, marauding in the wings, waiting to take you down. But now Kanina Power have been afforded this opportunity to just slowly crawl into this position from the south. And it is now prime real estate. They have so much control over the surrounding terrain. Nobody can push them from the west side unless multiple teams push them all at once. I think this is Kanina Power's game to lose.
Yeah, it absolutely could be Kanina Power's game to lose here. And I think that's just purely because they have to control so little areas right now. They just need to peek over the lips at the moment and just squeeze out as much damage as possible. The various locations on the map. Forget so they're going to have to rush over towards them. Again, so many teams do not want to get close here. Big Baby, though, can control the ridge side on the eastern side. It's a good spot to be playing for them. Depends on this next circle, really, does the game. 8-8 Academy, you're right, them not playing from the central position is slightly strange, but I think they realized there was so much action going on, they'd rather take themselves out of the situation, get those consistent points, considering they're currently in second place with 15 total. I think it is worth it for them just to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah, remember, they managed to get those 6 bonus points as well when they acquired that SVG spot. So they did start off pretty strong and nice and far ahead. Team Spirit might do well to take a leaf out of their book, but not in this match. We'll have to wait for another one to see what they can do. Start Esports in the meantime on the northwest side, trying to move on in, but Badusi from Kanina Power keeps the sightlines under control, slows everything up on this northwestern side, and the attempted egress from 8-8 Academy now is punished. I mean, they've taken a knock on the backlines, they'll need to res that up. Seems like they have managed to get that one back together, and finally they're starting to flex out along this roadside. The question is, can Kanina Power stop this from happening?
I mean, they've already taken one knock there on the eastern side. Again, that does take 2 guns out of the picture. But teams have to get closer. And for Big Baby, that ridge that's going to sit over towards the east is their big linchpin point here. That's what's going to give them the opportunity to move in. They will have to sort of deal with the angles coming through from Shockwave. 8-8 Academy try to rush forward to get towards Shack to potentially play on the side of the road here. They take a knock from behind, but they're dealing with the remainder of Blue Team DX as well as Star.
Nice nades over the top, but not quite catching the mark there. Overlaid, just about gets away from that one, hits back behind the deck, and nades ring out from Getso. They've approached now to the roadside. Kanina Power took a knock, but that got rezzed up there. So they are playing as 3, a little bit diminished in their power. As Big Baby trying to clear out the western flank, but with only 2 players there, they can't really take this fight with Getso for too much longer.
I forget so. Again, they're likely going to have to move further up towards that northeast side. They're dangerously close now to Kanina Power. Instead, they opt to just go for the full-on crash between Big Baby and Getso. It's a 1-for-1 trade way.
Don't quite get that answer either. Obito is down for Getso. Duchu trying to stay alive, has to hit the deck. The buggy goes up in flames and takes a player with it. That's a full flush coming on through. Baban from Big Baby. Now, can he hold off the encroaching forces of Getso? They are still on 4 once they've got this res, but the zone is going to crunch them in. They do have the inside track somewhat, and that backup from across the ridge. Kanina Power sat in the way as well, covered off from this fight for now, for the time being, but there's always that opportunity. You just think you can, I can swing a little bit north, try and get a flank on, and immediately Kanina Power are there. One goes in, Ted wants to spray, but there's an answer across the ridge. The knock is there. Is there an answer? No. They aren't able to find retribution, and Big Baby now down to 2.
It's a weird play from Big Baby. I don't think they need to push up towards this roadside. I think they could continue to play that ridge over on the east, and they sort of give up the game because of that. With this next circle that comes through, they would have had so much control over the map. And now Shockwave can be the one to try and take up that positioning.
How's Obito
on that northeast?
He's snuck his way in. The cheeky blighter. He's wended his way from that south edge right up into the middle, found a crate in there as well with an MG3. That's a pretty profitable rotation and gives them a foothold in for Getso on the south.
There's a big pickup. In comes Shockwave. This is what we're talking about earlier. It should be an easy pickup for Shockwave. Playing off this ridge, they know the strength of this compound. Sort of the guessing game of where the slits are. on the shack.
Oh dear. First knock, though, over towards Shockwave has been found. Obito staying alive for a little bit longer here as the rest of Getso preoccupied with the western flank, and a lot of players over there starting to fall. Kanina Power getting dismounted finally from their position and will be eliminated fully. 4 teams remain. Can 88 Academy continue to convert on this position?
I mean, for Obito, it was a pretty heads-up play. They realized that a lot of the force from Big Baby was gone, so taking this position where he can just sit towards the ditch here, very, very strong, provides a great opportunity for a landing point for the rest of his team, whilst Lonely and Duchu control the teams coming in from that western side. That's a good nade from Shum.
What a lob there from Shum. And a Molotov onto Lonely displaces him. He's doing a lot of work over towards Getso, where teams couldn't do it previously. Spray down, and there's the backup. On the ramp he goes, finds the flush, and all of a sudden it is just Obito left in the mix for Getso. Slap bang in the middle. Shockwave, they're cut down to 2. Getso on 2. I think that might be going a little bit lower, actually. Star Esports also pushing in. It is ragtag into the final circle.
There's been a lot of weird plays gone on this game, honestly. I think it was a point where Kanina Power could have had the game. They throw it away. Big Baby could have taken the game. They threw it away. Getso could have had the game. They threw it away again. As soon as Obito takes that position, says, I've got to knock over towards Shockwave, they should have just tried to take the ridge side with the vehicles they still had in tow. So, yeah, a little bit odd. And now there becomes a point in the game where truly it's once again possible for Shockwave to win.
It's quite strange, isn't it? 2 players from Shockwave, they're going to need to skirt around. Obito actually in a really nasty position for everybody else in this circle, right? Star Esports, I think, has the best chance of getting a beneficial position against him. If they can flow around to the north, finally getting rid of his teammate on that southwest side. But Shockwave, I don't think they have a chance of getting past him, but certainly not without casualty.
Just underhand throw it in.
Come on,
yeah.
Put it in the window. All right, come on back to Zada. You can do it. And he's cooking it. And it's in. And it bounces. And he's finally dead after what seems like a millennia. Finally, Big Baby are eliminated.
There's a lot of just trying to thread it through that magical position for quite a while. Obito should absolutely annihilate these guys.
Should do. He rolls straight up into their purview. Nades 2 in hand for Obito, but they do manage to find a ridge and some cover from that MG3, and now Star can start to move around. Shockwave, they're doing bits here.
Yeah, Obito actually doesn't have an angle. I don't think they have any idea he's here, though, which is the big issue. Decent lob on the nade. Should do a little bit of damage, but not enough. 13 eliminations right now for Star.
Wow.
Really strong game for them that has just ramped up over time.
Bagnazada and Jakey, this is a strong duo. I think we're going to be saying these guys' names quite frequently over the course of these next few days. Excellent combat in the longhouse. Bagnazada seemingly very happy with the pump-action shotgun. A signature weapon, maybe in the making.
And now he should get blasted by Obito. Come on, there we go.
There's the one. Steps up for a second, and actually Obito goes for 1 and 2, and the spray down is there, finally finding Obito, and it is Shockwave to pick up the pieces of that fight. What a way to close it down. It was a little bit weird, I think it's safe to say, time and time again, but it will be Shockwave to bring us back to normalcy.
Yeah, absolutely. Good game from Star there to finish off the match. Taking themselves the chicken dinner. I think, yes, Star was picking it up. Yeah, I think for Obito from Getso, he made the right play. The rest of the team decided they didn't want to join him on that play. I think it would have been fantastic because they would have been able to just storm over Shockwave, and it would have been a 3v2 versus Star in the end game. It is a little bit of a weird match, though I am glad that Getso did get a second place purely off the back of that initial rotate they made, because it felt very different to the one they made on Erangel, where they had a lot of time, all the time in the world beginning that Erangel to pick up one of the strongest locations on that warehouse. They opt not to, but this game they're like, we should probably take Central. We have Central.
Yeah, why not? We are in the middle, we stay in the middle. It is good, right? Not in blue zone, therefore good. It feels like a lot of teams are kind of just playing their own match and almost not ignoring like information gathering, but they're like, this is the next spot we want to go to, and then it's like, oh, there's teams there, let's take a fight. Like no matter whether or not it's favourable, they just want to sort of make their way. They're playing stock build PUBG Mobile right now, and they need to get a little bit more inventive with it if they want to try and take things under control. Because we've seen Sandhawk numbers in the middle of that match.
Yeah, we have, and I think that's the difficulty for a lot of these squads is that right now they're all playing the similar kind of PUBG Mobile that they've seen from a lot of the squads at the top, and it's forcing them all into the same kind of location.
Number 3. A little bit south on the plane, but shouldn't be too bad. Let's see if there's any hot drops as well. Are we going to have a Paradise Resort 3-way hot drop, or Painan? Is it going to be populated by 4 teams? We'll have to wait and see.
That we will. I mean, honestly, John, at the moment, with how crazy some of our games have been so far, I think Sandhawk's going to be a weird one. That's to be sure. At the moment, we are having teams dropping on the south side of the island. Not a big deal. Again, I say this every time. Playing path doesn't really mean much on Sandhawk. It's such a small map to begin with. Very heavily populated down towards the south side of the map, but didn't expect this one. We do have players from Brothers in Arms heading over towards Painan, your Kanina Power towards Cave Side, and the Eagles on the south.
The Eagles have landed over towards Bantai and Camp Charlie. Northwest Island looks pretty hot right now, as does Team Spirit, with a scrap and a chance to maybe put more points on the board. Keme goes down first as they lock horns with Asia Mix, but a trade-off for Nomi on the cross. Effect holding the stairway, tries to keep Nomi alive and draw the attention. Has got a lot more rounds left in the chamber, but Team Spirit, they are flagging. It is just Effect now for them. Asia Mix have been turning the screws onto this fight, lost last player to stand for it, and it's not been good for anybody in this central location. Another shortfall for Team Spirit.
I mean, the only way you really bring this back is by getting the total 4 eliminations right. That's the only way you deal with this one. Effect has a good idea. Both players are extremely low. Just a couple of bullets we're doing. With the barrel, he is going to be packing some heavy punch.
We've got the DBS as well on the inside for Effect. Doesn't have it does have a helmet now. Managed to find one. Keme trying to pop some stims there, but Keme has the DBS in hand as well. The DBS, the great equalizer of these early fights, Blank. If you can win out on that first peak, if you can land the first shot, most of the time you're going to take them all the way down. But Effect's level 3 vest is going to change that tune, right? It's going to keep them alive for a little bit longer.
Interesting nade there. I think that he thinks a little too hard about both of those scenarios in terms of where Keme is going to be. Unable to make it happen. Lost running around upstairs. Nomi searching for some kind of medical supplies, whereas Asia Mix currently just healing up using stims. No vest. A lot of damage there. Keme's out. So they might just be leaving, but Effect is on the chase.
Meanwhile, over on the north side bridge, One for All trying to shunt on past. Trying to get across here. It looks like they have lost a player already. They've lost Black. And they have disengaged now. Going a little bit further north. A roadblock in their way in the form of Blue Team DX will be a little bit too much for them. Dagestan could potentially crunch in and third party this, but looks like we're actually going to have the Strangers dropping on by.
In front of the Strangers, who are going to be pretty good scrappers in terms of some of these fights. Those engagements seem to be their forte. Spray back from the QBZ. Because they are off the angle. Does have a nade. Won't get too much done there. Just trying to provide a little bit of space to them.
Tree with a nade into the house. The flank, the off angle being challenged, called out. It looks like Monkey's going to take up that against Morrissey. I think that might be 11 on the end, but I like the idea that it's Morrissey.
Old Morris. Could he be Morrissey?
Ooh.
He's jumped down anyway, but strangers are tailing him. Sticking close on the chase, barrel in hand. Tries to get into the water. Shots come through, but a little bit too late. Tagging very heavy.
Into the water, around the headland, and just a little bit longer for the singer-songwriter.
This feels like a nade situation to me.
Maybe. He's only got the one nade, though, for Alicio. Alicio is a name that I haven't said in quite a while. Big fan of his work in previous tournaments. Was always a standout carry, and hoping to do the same thing here for Strangers.
Yeah, really, really good player. Honestly, is Alicio. I think that he got slightly too big for his boots back in the day. Was challenging a lot of teams on fights, and then realised he was just not up to snuff anymore. But it feels like he's come into this one a bit more fervour.
I didn't mean it. Alicio, get back up, please. Come on. I haven't cursed you, have I? Straight away. Good year at the back. Oh, sorry, God's at the back. Got tyres on the mind. Strangers keep on putting the pressure on and immediately find that shot. Morris just swimming away. It's not going to go well. It's Strangers to pick up a lot of points there on the north side, maintain that roadblock, a high ground compound around them. Not too much more has happened.
Yeah, it's nice for Strangers. Again, like I was saying for Alicio, it does feel like a case that on this team, from the couple of games that we've seen so far, he is much more focused with playing alongside the rest of his squad, which is nice to see in terms of development-wise, in terms of a player. Again, Morris could have been dead a lot earlier. I think if they just maybe invested the nade onto him. Again, that nade was crucial for clearing out the players inside these compounds, so it could go either way. And realistically, Morris was out with the fight at that point. So for Strangers, maybe they made the best call there for themselves, just to not expend the little ordnance they had at the beginning of the game in favour of a quick knock onto a player that was essentially down and out.
Team Spirit are still in boot camp, as are Asia Mix. 2 players apiece. They've managed to settle things up a little bit, but it's not looking super healthy. No first stage for Nomi. Kitsune, he's back on his main account now. It was EDK, but I think the admins had a talking to him, and they said, look, no one knows who you are, mate. You've got to play on Kitsune. And that's what he did. So now, despite actually not playing on this game anymore, because he's dead, will be much more recognisable. Team Spirit, 2 players, not getting on their way fast enough for my liking, but maybe that will play to their advantage if Effect and Nomi can pull something out of the bag.
Yeah, it's been a while since Team Spirit's actually been challenged in boot camp, so possibly something they just weren't really expecting too much at the beginning of the game here, but they have just had bad game after bad game. Luckily, there is 4 days of play, so this can change. Heavy southwest shift down towards this side of the island, so Kanina Power, nice central position, and the Eagles once again perched up, ready to take themselves their chicken dinner, potentially. They play anything like they played on that first match.
Trying to think about what sort of Eagles I know. And I shall be deploying these facts at some point in the future if they keep playing this way. They are still first. Bald. Golden.
Peregrine.
That's a falcon, isn't it?
Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not in that region.
American.
Isn't that just the bald eagle?
No.
Okay, good point. Types of eagle. There we go. That's a page. Oh, okay. There's quite a lot. I'll let you know in due course if they start popping off. Brothers in Arms have not left Painan, but they have left Carryboy in the dirt, unfortunately. They've lost him. For the price of, have they been able to get anything in response? No. No eliminations this match. On the tournament, they are in dead last now, with Asia Mix just jumping up 1 point ahead. Finally, Team Spirit and Asia Mix might actually be able to fully conclude this fight. Nomi takes a nade, does not have any meds, remember, takes another as well, but stays alive for the time being. Launches one back towards Keme. Has to disengage. Effect not quite in position to find an angle.
Yeah, Asia Mix has managed to pick up a lot of nades here, and Effect's nades have just not been on point. Well, to be honest with you, let me reiterate that. FX nades have been on point, but I think that the way he's playing is as if he was playing against an international squad. I think that's the difficulty for them right now. And again, I'm sure a lot of you might have noticed this before, but when you play against some teams who are a little bit worse, tends to make your life a little bit harder because you can't always predict the plays. But some great plays being concluded here from Shockwave, some good nades across the top side. This is versus 17-15. Wagnazada is dead though, unfortunately. Quick flush.
And on to the next. Tornado. Taken for a spin there. As GG Zada will roll on through. Moving up into position. I did spot the pump action shotgun in the loadout for Wagnazada as well. Again. For Shockwave, as he continues it. That is my least favourite vehicle noise in the game as Jakey rolls it on in with the DBS close range now to Gentle. Tornado down and out of this one. Not going to have a chance to get back up unless his teammate can handle the entirety of Shockwave's roll up, and it's looking pretty good. Jakey's low, the blue zone's here as well. Does not have a lot of time to play with. The player at the back, Gentle sprays out for one. A potential 1 versus 3 here for Gentle in the back lines, but the first aid just stuck too long, and GG keeps things sane. 2 players to res. They're in the zone and they'll be able to do it. It's phase 2.
What a tough little matchup there versus Gentle. You can see why they left him behind by himself over Orangle in the first place. This guy can handle his stuff. Very, very well played from Gentle. Not a Gentle player at all, it would seem. Very aggressive, in fact. Strangers do make their way in. That's on the southeast bridge as we head into our next phase shift on the circle. Tambang currently held by Star, who managed to pick themselves up a whole bunch of points on that last game. It was a 25 total, I believe that was.
This next circle pops south of that southwestern island, including Sami. It's great news for the S-Eagles squad. They can start to get a little bit more control going there towards central areas, some high ground potential for them. Getso, they're causing trouble over towards Shockwave, who have managed to recuperate. Kanina Power, they lose their off angle on an aggression play against Big Babies, but it's not going well. 0 down as well. Just 1 found in response. Dennis was already out. Big Baby now trying to flow around the edge. They're trapping their opponents on in. This is in a crucial junction compound as well for this circle.
What was
a
that?
lovely hop shot from Zero. Straight in with the DBS, but the nade puts it back. And Big Baby, they'll play on with 3. Can they keep this though? Because Dagestan are looking to march in from the north.
That was a silly jump shot coming through from Zero. But you're right, Dagestan are here to pick up the pieces. Shifu, double mollies, potentially on the wood, spreads it further. Dagestan continue to move through as they desperately try and pick their teammates up, but mollies galore through the window. Baban is dead. And Dagestan will pick themselves up a cheeky double elim off the back of that. And also a fairly central spot in the circle. So really, really well done for Dagestan to identify this fight going on and make their way over as quickly as they did. Stranger were able to get down towards this compound that is sat on the southeast side. They've got Getzo behind them at the moment, just playing on the ridge. So this does mean the Stranger's sort of locked in for the long game here.
Strangers on that south side, sequestered away from the scrap. In the meantime, over on the west, you've got Star Esports. They're going to probably have to duke it out again with 8-8 Academy as they try and leave south from Tambang. Getso, the high ground over the top here, yeah, it's just in this next circle. And you've got to think Strangers are worried about it. But the descent across those hills is and that scrap is going well for them so far. They've taken a huge chunk out of Star Esports.
Yeah, 2 initial knocks means that 2 reses need to go off at the same time. So there is a good potential for 8-8 to get up close to the compounds. But yeah, it's fairly slow right now. Ooh. But that's a great nade.
Okay, I take it back. They didn't need to get up. It wasn't too slow. It was just exactly right. And an excellent opening. 8 eliminations now for 8-8 Academy. They've got a decent chunk of the west side of the circle here.
Yeah, for 8-8 playing around Nakam, if this moves over towards that west side, like they have a very strong position to keep playing from. Here comes Shockwave, though. They actually pushed far in, past One For All, over towards this position that just sits on the other side of Strangers. They didn't take the same Getzo approach, which is just to sit by idly. They're getting into the thick of it straight away.
Yeah, they lost Vagnazada earlier with the scraps they were taking, and I'm really surprised that One For All didn't stop this at all. Shockwave actually came up along the road that we were just seeing there. One For All just allowed it to happen, and surprising that this is going to go on through, but they're going to have to leave this, conclude this fight, and get on the road again. The circle pushes away. S-Eagles right in the middle. This compound that they hold for the S-Eagles should be very, very powerful for them. A top 3 finish should be on the cards for the Eagles.
Yeah, they've not had to move much whatsoever, and they can just chill in this compound. They've got a lot of space around them they can control. They will have to worry about some of the valleys that they sit, or at least the ridge sides that surround them. But again, by the time a lot of teams get up close to them, they're likely to have taken fights to other squads and will be a little bit weaker.
Again, fairly low utility being carried in these backpacks, and that is really, I think, what separates a lot of these lobbies from their international and global level counterparts is utility usage, the prioritization towards it, the ability to play around it as well. Hopefully we'll see that start to develop a little bit more here. Getzo do have One For All on their north to worry about, but they're playing as 4. One For All are down to 3, so potential advantage there. But Brothers in Arms, again, on this south side in Sami, are going to be a little bit of a problem here. Brothers in Arms actually diverted straight past the Shockwave and Strangers scrap and have gotten straight into the circle.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they were able to do that, but into Sami, nice and easy. One For All above them. Shockwave and Strangers left behind in the dirt to fight over a compound that's not even in the next circle here. This is a strong game here for 8-8 Academy. This is where they could potentially pick themselves up even more points, get themselves further towards the top side of the table. Currently with 9 points on this game. That's 9 eliminations found so far. And Shockwave are able to conclude that fight between them and Strangers. So a great play from them. Not before Jakey is beset upon as he enters the circle. Effect finished their fight with Asia Mix. So they did get 4 eliminations on this match at least.
Getzo have managed to put 2 of their players back together, but they've left Ked out on that northwestern side, and that actually could be a massive boon for them. They are a little bit stretched out quite thin across this compound, and Obito going to start to fight through, close that trap, close that accordion position that they hold, and maybe regroup towards Ked, who can hold Brothers in Arms into this fight. He can force them to stay in, but can he hold off against that pressure? You've got Lonely as well in a solo hold position. Ked on the high ground, wanting to slow the approach, but will have to fold away. The high ground now compromised as a flow out comes through from Brothers in Arms.
Yeah, I mean, whilst Getzo was still cleaning out the final players here from One For All, which there is still one left here in Smarty, Brothers in Arms took that opportunity to actually head out, take up that position that Ked held earlier. So much investment here to this final player from One For All. They want to clear out that eastern side. If they can, there is a position to play on that eastern edge, but you don't really want to go for it.
Smarty last to stand for One For All. Hopefully he's going to be able to pull something out of the bag, but I think the blue zone has other ideas. It's really looking pretty dire there, and that is going to be it. Getzo can get on the way now as One For All eliminated.
Yeah, now Getzo have this tough time ahead of them. Ked does have a little bit of position. So that is about it.
It's similar, though, because he allowed Woodson from Brothers in Arms up to that high ground position. They have a similar angle to one another. Neither team has that big advantage. So if Ked can displace, or on the flip side, if Woodson can displace Ked, they have a huge chance. Smoke train enacted. That's going to allow cover for the crossing, but you can spray into that smoke, maybe catch a player or two lacking. Pushes Woodson back, and he nearly falls all the way off the cliff there. Trapped behind the tree, they have to be pushed away. Silence goes down for Brothers in Arms as they take the opportunity to make a move as well. But the circle pushes up north and the Eagles catch a huge chunk of it yet again.
Yeah, I mean, this compound they're currently playing in is massive for them. And it's such a defensible compound as well. AA Academy do need to move further over towards that western side. And Getsu are doing a great job here. I will admit, these past two games, it's been a big change between that and their first match there on Arundel. Things did not go their way. Last player from Brothers in Arms, Lonely will pick him up, and they should be able to get themselves the res off too. AA Academy are having a little peek in. They're looking to finish off this engagement. And honestly, Getsu are not in the good spot right now.
Oh, they're looking for that res, should be able to put themselves back on 3 active, but with this rotation, 88 Academy forced them to play on as 3. Effect for Team Spirit, he's slow, he's dangerous behind Dagestan. Could be a dagger in the back. With a spray down, has the M4 as the ult weapon, but holding the DBS to stop anyone who pushes close. I'm pretty sure they don't know about this angle. Magnum, the most exposed to it. The potential for Limbo Boom actually to scout it out. He is pushing all the way. He's clearing. No, he's just grabbing the vehicle. Ooh, okay. If that can stay secret for just a moment longer, but these footsteps are going to start to pop up for Magnum. Taking shots, though. Maybe a chance for effect. It's an isolated fight.
Yeah, he's on the other side, and I think he has a good idea of where he is. I mean, he's got to top 5. Pick himself another elimination would be pretty damn good. Sees his head.
He's waiting. He's waiting for Magnum to take a fight on the left side and push back for the peak. Oh, here he comes. He has to take the shots. There it is. Stands up. Effect. Position given away, but Dagestan lose a player to it. It was just a matter of when and how effective he can be from this position now. Dagestan were always losing that player. But now they want retribution. Limbo Boom leading the charge, as do the rest of them. Nades flying, DBS in hand, has an M4 as the back pocket. Spray down Effect, will not find anything. They put it to bed quickly, and Effect out in 4th.
But that might just be the game for Dagestan, because now Eagles can move out from their compound and push up towards that north side. And with only 3 players and having to regroup there, yeah, I think it's all over. 8-8 though, push out with their final player, I believe, in Tokyo.
They have got a lot going for them right now. They got 12 eliminations now after the fight concluded on the western side. The S-Eagles trying to move on in towards Shifu. Nade in hand, goes long onto Devil, but the spray down is good. DMG is well behind, but not quite able to get the damage in time to take him down. This is potential for Tokyo to really upset the apple cart here. Gets towards the circle. Another nade in through might be enough to do it. I don't think he's aware. I don't think he knows just how much the Eagles are landing pretty heavily here. The Talons clawing or whatever they can grip onto, but the nades keep the pressure on, and another knock over towards them slows things down. Knows Tokyo has something to do here, but the reses can come through, and it is just too slow for 88 Academy.
He's still got 2 nades, and they're all so low up on towards this north side. Molotov been thrown out, potentially to delay. The smoke's going to give away the position. He has, I think, 1 more nade in the back pocket. They're so closely grouped as well.
Rolex. He's going to take damage from the nade. Another re-knock comes through. So a 1v2 still, but the reses are coming in. A 1v1 now isolated. Molotov up to the tree, forces Rolex out west. Looking for that spray down as the 3rd player back up now. 1 versus 3, it is possible. With the DBS around the rock. Are there nades in hand for the Eagles? They haven't been fighting too much, so maybe. But they've got DBSs of their own. Molotovs keeping things close. Up into the rock. Needs to find something, but it's not quite there. And the Eagles take it away. A low elimination chicken dinner for them, but a chicken dinner nonetheless. Looking all sorts of fun with it. Another time to put their nicknames up on the board. There we go. We revealed their nicknames to you. Rolex, S-Lam Devil, and OMG. Looking plenty like Harvey Eagles.
Really, really nice game, actually, from mainly 88 Academy, honestly. I think for Eagles, you can't really call it that good of a game because they basically didn't do anything. They got the circle, they played from it, they played from their compound. But for, again, Getso as well as A8 Academy, really nicely done. Let's take a look at the match rankings because I'm pretty sure A8 Academy should be on top. They are 19 points. Eagles should still claim a second place position with that match, but Getso is climbing the rankings slowly but surely.
I think Eagles might actually still be able to hold on to that first spot. It's going to be close, nonetheless, because that 5-point difference, I think it's pretty evenly dispersed, but Eagles would win the tiebreaker with the 2 chicken dinners they've been able to find. Some interesting fights. I mean, Shockwave were doing bits as well. Remember, out on that eastern side, they had a lot of fights going their way. Team Spirit's finally starting to lift their feet up to 8 points on this match with 5 limbs found there as we slide on down to the second page.
Yeah, and I think that for Team Spirit, finding those 8 points is really important for them. They started off the tournament with 10 points, which is basically the only thing really keeping them in contention right now. And I think they were on 16 points off last game, so they should have 24 points now. So I think a roundabouts in that top 5 still, somehow, despite the performance. Again, I think they got very surprised by a hot drop there in boot camp. I don't know if Asia Mix is going to go there again, but if they do, Sandhawk, which is honestly one of Team Spirit's best maps, could be having a bit of a spoiler happening to it right now.
It's kind of what happened to them over in PMWC as well. They just wanted to, PMWC, they just lost boot camp repeatedly and couldn't really put back together after that. Hopefully, they've got the pieces and they will be able to structure something for us coming up because we've got plenty more matches to play. Don't go anywhere.
Points on side. But yeah, I think that honestly, A8 Academy have been very impressive so far, and Getso have made very, very quick change in terms of performance from that first time Wrangle to now here going into our 4th match. I'm very impressed by Getso. Yes, there have been some mistakes, but these are things they can look at tomorrow in terms of just being a bit more cohesive as a unit. But that's okay. That can be adjusted.
Certainly can. I mean, and that's kind of what these qualifiers are all about, right? Is finding these teams that and developing them into international standard teams. So being able to identify these issues early on in this level of play is going to be great as a resource for them. They'll have another opportunity to develop into this, our second of 3 Erringles that we have today. Our plane path from Pubg down to the west coast, slightly south, but vehicles available to drag everyone up to the north should they wish to go there. Now, are we going to see something dramatic happening again, like a hard southwest shift like we had on the first match, or are we going to have something a little bit more chilled out?
Right, it feels pretty chilled out from the plane pass so far in terms of being right through the center of the map. So very easy peasy lemon squeezy for a lot of teams to get into their position. Shouldn't be too much infighting over towards anywhere on the map. But yeah, it's really, really nice plane path in terms of this side of things. We'll wait for the circle though, because as you said, John, that circle was the big kicker.
And it was certainly pretty punishing to a few teams. I mean, Team Spirit obviously losing their backline and then just sort of getting rolled through for the entirety of that first match, which was unfortunate for them to suffer such a fate. I'm still keeping my eye out for any hot drops, any adjustments coming through. This is the first repeat map we'll see. Anyone going to that military base? Doesn't look like it. Maybe actually we've got some teams looking to break their way down. Far Voice Gaming maybe going for that bridge. And the circles don't let up. Hard east shift.
Yeah, this is cruel. I mean, a lot of teams that did drop out early on that eastern side will have a good, strong starting point for themselves in this game. So they're not going to be too worried about where they're playing. I mean, for Big Baby, this is a good spot to be starting in. S-Eagles are sort of crunched in over towards Mini Milter, but certainly can play from that position. Again, they're getting looted up early, can move over towards the northern side. It's those ridges around the woodland on the north, which are very, very strong. There's some really good compounds around there as well, some 3 stories. It's a little bit too early to tell where the center of the circle will be, so most teams are probably more focused on just ensuring that they're looted up as possible.
I was going to say Kaneda Power looked like they're on a pretty decent split as well, but that northeast point of it, in perks, will be just pushed off as Big Babies take the initiative very, very quickly. Nice to see that addressed here. Pace is really important when it comes to Pubg Mobile. Because they dropped out so early on this east side, they will have the gear ready to go. Perks, a little bit lackluster on it. Doesn't have any first aids, only 2 nades, no smokes. So maybe a little bit down on his luck there. A little bit of a ragtag loot for the northeast point of Kaneda Power, but there's plenty of other positions that they've still got control of on that mansion area split, that south of prison area.
Yeah, I mean, the mansion split is a very, very strong one to have. I mean, Strangers will be moving over towards that position at some point, potentially even playing Heaven. But we'll wait for them to make that move. I mean, there's a lot of teams already crunching in on that western side, John. Dagestan move up over towards 8-8, and they have lost a player early in the game, which is a bit unfortunate for their point standings. Fortunately, Limbo is completely unaware of his position, but the rest of 8-8 aren't coming in for backup.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was on the roof, so did drop down. Tokyo hiding out in the alley. I mean, you definitely should have checked that angle, right? You definitely. And Limbo's completely lost here. Process of elimination, surely you know now. Okay, is he going to check it? Is he going to check it? He's seen it.
Now, to be fair, pretty good hidey spot.
He didn't check it. It was only because he was right there. But they get the point, nonetheless. Shifu able to crack one over towards 8-8 Academy. Now, the southeast side near Milter is getting pretty chock-a-block. As actually Kaneda Power moved really far down to that south. They put a lid on that Milter rotation area.
S-Eagles, they lose 1 player. Asia Mix, got inside the building. E-Slam, looking to take some nades up towards Lost. He moves back, a really good time to be moving back as well. Devil goes down. On an off angle, Keme coming in from the backside. They are completely surrounded. This might be over for the Eagles.
They are into a blender here a little bit. Can there be anything to stand up? Rolex taken down, chunked away. There is only 1 knock in response, and Asia Mix are holding their nerve nicely here on this scrap. That's not the right area to put that nade in. Don't think he meant to do that, but Lost will have another one in the back pocket. Devil flushed, Eslam flushed, Rolex and OMG trying to move on through, but there's so many high ground angles. It's so difficult to move through these halls. Lost with a crossfire angle. Rolex with the nade. Spots one. Over to the back lines, but has to tuck away. The surround is starting to lose its power as they do coalesce. And Asia Mix is starting to clump up here. Maybe giving an opening for the Eagles.
I'm sort of surprised that the Eagles are still going from the position they're in. Huge shot there to start things off, though. And that will be Lost going down. Rolex, the backside. Dimmy looking for the shot as Rolex comes around the edge.
Really low
I
ammo.
mean, the boys have kept it going, and you're right. This UMP's got 8 bullets in it. It's not super useful to him right now.
He's got that S12K in the back pocket, so might be able to change things around or pick up some more ammo. A lovely thread shot there to catch someone on the cross. 3 players active for Asia Mix still.
Keme holding up top. Really just need to rush through onto him. That is one hell of a move. I don't know how he even spotted that one coming.
Doesn't have a nade to underarm from the rooftop. Asia Mix. Just keeping them under control. I mean, they had that surround. They clumped up a little bit, but now they've reestablished that spread. They know Keme's up on this roof. I mean, they must have figured out that it was up there. After those shots as well. Keme. Still not going too far, not going too bold, and I like that.
Yeah.
He's waiting for the rest of the team to be in a prime position.
Yeah, I feel like Keme's got such a strong spot, though, where the other 2 players underneath could maybe force the 2 players from Eagles out into some bad positions, yet really, this should have been an easy fight, but I think that the rest of the players from Asia Mix are playing so scared.
Why is nobody third-partying this is what I want to know. This is a really solid spot in the next circle. I mean, you'd have thought someone would have poked their noses in, but finally Rolex finds another ankle. His teammate is down, but he's got another in the back pocket. A 1 versus 1. And the player drops. Keme's on half HP. The DBS, it's dangerous around the corner as he looks for the res. The spray down there, running a little bit low on ammo. Only the 1 magazine left. Keme steps out wide and Rolex shuts it down. How did the Eagles get away with that? Nobody's here to play third party, and it's 2 players active.
Yeah, realistically, should never have happened. I think when you look at the guys from Eagles there, they had such a weak spot at the start of that fight as well. Keme had such a powerful position, and you sort of just need to go for the sacrifice play there, and I don't think anyone in Asia Mix wanted to go for it. Far Voice outside the gas station. Quick shot from Gyro, but doesn't quite. He gives him another pass. What the?
Okay, all right. Well, if you give him 2 chances, there's no excuse for that. You're your own demise on that. Far Voice Gaming, they went down south early on to the island. Now they're trying to get back up north. It's not working out for them. Gepso as well coming in behind. Oh, here's that third party I was wanting. Brothers in Arms, now with a chance to 4 versus 2. Will they be able to get it done? Or will the snakes lying in wait be too much? 1 and 2 goes down. OMG and Rolex again in another 1 versus 2. Silence in a 1 versus 1 as well. Rolex now, can he find yet another miraculous play? A nade being cooked up by Silence. Could this be the demise of Rolex? He steps wide. Gets away from the nade. The damage doesn't connect. The DBS is there. He goes up high. Gets high ground on it. Teammates still inactive. The reses, can they come through? Rolex with the DBS. Straight around. There's an opening. Maybe to thread something through. He's only got 9 rounds on that shot. And will just bide his time. First aid now. Silence is holding the corner. He's not going for a res.
That's the nade back in hand.
No way.
That could have just been it right there and then. He is playing a magnificent game right now.
Wait, he just naded himself.
He naded himself.
Just naded himself.
Oh, no. Why? Rolex is alive for no reason at all.
Yeah, Brothers in Arms. There were 4 of them alive there as well. He could have resed all 4. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad.
It was very hard to force him out. He was doing really good to move around the pins pulled, whilst also pushing in at the right time. Yeah, that was an insane fight down from Eagles.
I mean,
I don't know, dude. That
you can't. I mean, okay.
I'm not sure what to say. It was incredible play, and I'll give Rolex that because the movement, the movement.
Oh yeah,
was somewhere else.
I mean, that jump shot with the DBS again, nearly, as you said, it could have been the end of it right there and then. That sliver of HP, taking him down, that was crucial to land that shot. But it was his own nade that took down the Brothers in Arms. Oh my goodness. Never going to live that down as well. You know, in this lobby right now, there are words being had.
Yeah, probably. Probably some very unhappy words. Again, the pressure that was being applied by Rolex was really difficult to deal with. So I'm not blaming Brothers in Arms too much. The initial engagement was pretty poor, but that fight between Silence and Rolex, that just felt like he got completely outclassed.
They moved in as 4. They got caught unawares by OMG, right? And they lost, I think, 2 knocks to that. And I think Rolex was able to find a 3rd. That shouldn't have happened, right? In those engagements, you should always be in a position to never go more than 1 for 1 on that sort of a trade, right? They overexposed potentially, didn't have the cover on the correct angles to stop these repeats coming through. And yeah, sure. So Brothers in Arms, I think, could have definitely tidied things up a little bit better. But, I mean, nothing's going to overshadow that. Nade, this is a dastardly circle yet again. We're on to the Milta Peninsula.
Very devastating. Yeah, you're not wrong. Heading over towards this northeast side, so much water in play. Again, the cliffs are pretty uncomfortable to be working with. Dagestan have that massive split that sits across the majority of the cliffs there, so they could have a strong game off the back of that. They've also got Shifu holding in the compound that just sits a little bit south of the north cliff face, which is a really strong compound. Now, if I am Dagestan, I am not looking to continue playing this cliff split. I think it was good up until this point, but now you should just play the central compound on that side. It's so strong, it's really hard to get people off the back of.
Looks like Blue Tiam are going to try and roll up the Team Spirit, and it's good for the first. Godseer now on the chase against Effect. Nade, no, he thinks better of it, puts the pin back in. Behind the boxes, has to jump out wide, and that is one hell of a shot from Effect. Goodness me. Able to do them dirty there, Blue Tiam. Losing one of their players, worried about the other warehouse. But will survive for a moment longer. The res can come through from Blue Tiam. They haven't got it up just yet, but it will be coming through very shortly. Matic has already gone down for Team Spirit.
Yeah, again, it really... So you can see the plays are pretty damn strong coming through from Team Spirit when they're looking good. The issue right now is that you see that nade that came through from Effect off towards the side to cut off the off angle that was potentially coming through from Blue Tiam. That's something that would completely catch strong team off guard. And I think this is where Team Spirit's having a bit more difficulty with. They'll have to adjust into it, playing more Pug-like style going into tomorrow.
Is Shifu on top of the cooling tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a little pipe that runs up to it.
Yeah, okay. But he's managed to get up there. I was looking for him on the ground. I was like, he's not there, but he's there.
It's a cool spot. It's a very cool spot.
It's going to give him a lot of oversight onto all of these fights unfolding.
Ah, okay. I couldn't quite see with the map before, but there's actually Big Baby that's already taken up that compound that I was saying Dagestan should have headed to.
Ah, right.
So they can't actually grab that one. They do only have 3 players in there, so it's definitely possible to aggress onto it later on, but right now, yeah, a bit difficult. A8 playing the roadside here, difficult spot for teams to get through, to be honest, but if anyone can do it, probably Star might be able to have the firepower to remove A8 from that position.
Ooh, and again, we go to the peninsula. This gives that west point of Dagestan a lot of pressure, right? From all of those teams on the northwest, almost all of them are going to potentially look at a crash onto this angle. So this is what you're talking about. Can they hold this split?
Yeah, I think that in an ideal world, they would have held over towards the compound that Big Baby was in and then moved towards this cliffside split. Big Baby's actually moving across right now over towards Limbo Boom. So we'll see exactly how that does pan out. I haven't lost anyone just yet.
Kanina Power in the way, as Ace's Academy have fallen. Big Baby eliminated as well. Oh, wrong button there from default. Spots one player speaking ahead over and immediately launches around between the eyes. Unfortunately, the helmet was enough to keep it safe. For the time being, smoke's up, getting ready for those vehicles to move out. They need to roll and they need to go fast.
Yeah, for Star, they're pretty far behind, and Kanina Power's got a really strong hold over towards that front side that's going to be pretty difficult to get through. Dagestan looks like they did deal with Big Baby as they moved over towards that northern side. They've got Zadira and Shifu on those off angles, so yeah, Big Baby is out. And Team Spirit hovering down towards the south side. This is one of the best games we've seen from Team Spirit so far, despite losing one player early. Tries to go for the spray. But yeah, they get up towards the crates, but I think that's as far as Star's going in this game.
Spotted, handled, Kanina Power able to do so, but I don't think Kanina Power can get too much further. The thing that does exist and nobody's gone for just yet is the swim strap, right? You can get out into the water. There's a lot of water available here. Maybe looking to ladder up. With 11 teams alive, maybe less likely than once we get up to sort of 6 teams alive, right? Because you can really start to rack up placement points by staying alive at that stage. But for now, you're still not even into the placement point.
Yeah, again, I think for a lot of teams, there's so many areas to play on the outside where you can stay pretty hidden, especially on the cliff faces, that it's likely that even stage 5, there's going to be quite a few teams still available and up. Kanina Power tries to swim it across. Bad idea. Again, I think if you are Kanina Power, you need to hold onto your vehicles and then swing far down towards the south side, attempt to get in that way. You can try and live out the game where Perks is currently playing, but this angle on the north side of the cliff is so often taken. Yeah, this was sort of a death sentence for Kanina Power.
They're going to lose at least one here. Just to the drowning. Oh, who's that off in the distance? Taking shots either way. Dagestan.
Final player from Star, I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. They will finally go down. They were hiding behind those crates. Did manage to get a little bit further than that, but not really going to do too much with it. Shockwave, they're making their way in from this western edge, and they want to crash. Jakey's down. Magnazada trying to move on in. GG as well. Real tough time, but they do get up to the wall.
Yeah, I think for Shockwave, I think they might have got that knockover towards Shifu, so they instantly sent it across, Shifu being that off-angler and also anchor point over towards the power plant itself. So you really do need to send players across to him to pick him back up, which I think they immediately do in Zadira.
Yeah.
Team Spirit sending nades through the smoke to Shockwave. 4 elims found for them on this game. Bit better.
Pulling their players back now. Dagestan still have this northern side, but they're going to need to regroup off the cliff. Shockwave up on the wall. Will be under pressure from Dagestan. And potentially Kanina Power if they manage to get up the cliffs on that north side. Pretty tall order for them. Team Spirit on the southwest edge. Playing the warehouses. Now, we need something from this roster now to prove that they deserve all the notoriety that they have. I'm waiting for it. I'm ready.
Nomi, arguably one of the best players in EMEA. If not the best player in EMEA, but just hasn't really shown up to the plate so far. Really good nade from Dagestan. Annihilates 2 members from Shockwave. And Shifu's getting very close. It's a good spray. I've only held it a little bit longer.
Might have been able to fully connect there. Shifu, I feel like these are a few wasted nades. Sure, maybe they just don't, they think there's another player there. But 1-2, okay, last player alive for Shockwave. He's still giving it. He's still finding Team Spirit players. Another nade, and that is going to be Dagestan finding the shot. Team Spirit now, they need this res to hold as 3 against Dagestan from the north. Kanina Power moving in. Oh, no, wait. No, they're still down the cliff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dear me. It feels like a weird run out from Team Spirit to try and steal away some elimination points. Shifu currently on 7 elims. Hell of a match for him. Over on Dagestan.
He's backing off the angle. Team Spirit can get back up to 3.
Yeah, I don't think they want to push too far off away from the northern cliff because Kanina Power is still there. It's a really strong position they want to hold, so pushing too far down towards that south side and exposing themselves, not ideal. You can always take care of Team Spirit later on.
Nomi now back up. They reclaim the warehouse. Blue Tiam, they sent in quite early. They're reaping the rewards. Dagestan on 8 eliminations, re-established that cliffside position on a nice wide spread. 17-15. We haven't really heard much from this team since the first match. Looks like they might suffer a similar fate here as Godsia has a hell of an arm on him. Finds a second knock. That smoke train should allow some crawlbacks, but will they start to fade in time? No, they do manage to get to cover, but should be able to get these reses going.
Yeah, it's an interesting circle, this one, just because the landmass in the power plant is so central and so large that it's cutting off a lot of engagements between other teams, so you're isolating 1v1s all over the map.
This circle shift is quite interesting as well. It's going to allow Canina Power to swim around the headland and potentially place quite highly here. One for all. They've taken 2 knocks, and actually one player further back is getting rezzed as well. In the water beneath them, I believe that's Monkey from the Strangers. So they have got another threat to worry about in the water.
Team Spirit moving up towards final players from Blue Team DX. 3 of them here, 17-15 trying to move across. Morrissey run away. Godsia still on that high ground. Dagestan with some very good holds over towards one for all.
Looks like it might be good onto Shifu there with an aid, but Flavius being down, his teammate was taken away as well. Now it's just the backline for one for all. Shifu with the spray onto one. Black there, still on the backlines. Maybe now not under as much pressure. They might think they're both in this vehicle. King trying to draw that attention and actually getting pretty safely to the northern side. Still not in full security, but turns around, hits that U-turn, and Black does get spotted. So it is just King going, and he's managed to get underneath the cover.
Yeah, that'll keep him alive for a little bit longer. At this point, you're in survival mode, right? You're looking for a top 5, but 11 eliminations for Dagestan. Fantastic match from them. Shifu up to 10 on his lonesome.
Okay.
Double digits on a single player. Haven't seen that in quite a while, John.
Yeah, they have just been picking him apart as they step towards double-digit limbs. That is crazy. I wonder how much damage he's got as well. But Godseer up on that high ground, finally getting pushed off. Will get knocked, but has the cover. Should be able to get rezzed. Have to wait and see. Circle not quite forcing teams into full conflict just yet. But they are in a basin around this high ground that Dagestan are circling around.
Zadira spots out King. He's hidden away for a while, crawling around, poking his head out. Tried to escape from 17-15, but into the clutches of Zadira from Dagestan. Rez does come through for Godseer. As Team Spirit take advantage of that lull in the pace for Blue Team DX to head into the next building.
Kitsune vaulting up, wanting a vantage point there. Making sure he's clearing that high ground in the building over. Just a little bit more. Hopping back and forth now. Blue TM. DX just going to be hearing this, wondering, what's going on, guys? What are you doing?
It's teaching Nomi how to get up.
Oh. Maybe Effect can do it too. Whoa.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
Very nice. And he immediately gets annihilated.
yeah, just go on up there. See what's up there. Go on. Give us some intel. Bang. Immediately. Sat. Effect at the back line as well. Not looking super healthy. Blue TM, if Morris eats this nade, it just misses the window. That would have been perfect onto Godseer.
Don't actually think...
I think he has to drop.
Yeah, they can.
Kitsune and a nade from Effect. Not quite going to go the distance. Morris has one in response. Should be good. That looks good on the cook, but maybe just a little bit slow. Not quite enough damage found. Nomi will get rezzed behind the generators, but need to move up north now. Both of these teams do.
Yeah, no more nades as well for Effect. And they're just going to try and move out the side. Godseer's underneath. Surely he saw him there. He did.
Ooh. Doesn't quite catch him on the cross there. Godseer now back in for the vault.
Nice.
And there's the spray down. Catches him with the UMP. Effect still on the high ground. They've got to fight through. They've got to continue this engagement.
Morris spots him as they move through. Good stop at the door, expecting the pre-fire. Maybe just looking for the trade here.
Oh dear.
Tried to get him off the angle to allow Effect to move in. Pretty well coordinated, but now just down to Nomi. It's Kitsune. Takes a dip outside.
Team Spirit, 6 eliminations found though already. They're into the top 3. With Dagestan having taken down everybody on the outside. Team Spirit will fall down in third. It is absolutely a masterclass in holding this cliff split from Dagestan this match. They have not put a foot wrong. I think maybe once or twice you could argue that they haven't done it exactly perfectly, but this is perfectly what you needed to do, right? Just keep that pressure up, maintain control over all the routes out on this northern side. The circle has helped them out a lot here as well, but they have managed to rack up 20 eliminations already, and they want to make it 22. Shifu steps out, goes down to Morris. They haven't finished it just yet. Morris is still going.
I mean, the Blues should just finish them off. They're likely not going to get the final elimination for this one, but I think a 31-point game is pretty good enough, in my opinion.
That's a banger. Oh, no way.
Yeah,
This is... Okay, interesting decision to push out. Has got the blue zone. No, don't go for the flush. Okay. I mean, actually, no, do go for the flush. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. You know you're not going to win. But Dagestan are able to keep that one under control. I don't think they got that 20-second point, though, on the eliminations. I think it was just
I think they might have done.
Did he go down to the blue zone?
They got the tag at the end towards them, so I think it did count towards their elim, which is why they push in. So potentially they have a 32-point game there, which is a massive chicken dinner from Dagestan, which sits them towards the top. And you can kind of understand why they try and go for the flush as well, because they know that every single one of those points is going to really massively count. It's not a case of getting into the podium finish, it's a case of getting into the top 2. It's not easy. That 32 points will see them pretty well towards the top side. 31 points. They weren't able to pick up that last one after all.
It just went down. Still, third place for Team Spirit as well. They are slowly climbing that ladder, right? It will be overshadowed by the incredible point scoring achievement from Dagestan, though, here. That cliff split, no one really challenged it on that north side, which was potentially one of their weaknesses.
They did. There was definitely challenges coming through from Kanina Power, from Star, from 8-8 as well.
I take that back. No one effectively challenged it. Let's go with that.
Yeah, there was a lot, because even Stranger and Shockwave and One For All tried to head over towards that side. But yeah, they held such a crazy split and were very slick on their shifts in terms of performance during that game. So it was very, very well done. And kind of I don't want to say a masterclass, because I felt like teams just didn't respect their position enough and just kind of walking into their line of sight very, very often. So Dagestan basically just plays the optimal game, and teams don't really do anything to counter it very well.
Maybe there's a lack of playing with a lack of opposition, and that's just what happens in that scenario. But fantastic to be able to recruit 31 points already just off that match alone. So yeah, Dagestan, they'll be happy. I mean, a lot of those players are players that we've been commentating on for a couple of years now, and it's great to see that they are able to still bring the thunder when it comes down to it. We'll see if they've got a little bit more left in the bottle. They're going to unleash the lightning in the last few matches of the day. We'll see you in a few. Will be there to try and jump on up at the moment. As it stands, Dagestan have just put themselves in a chance to do so.
They have. I mean, second place off the back of that one game. I think 31 points is a big one, to be fair. So that puts them in second, and they would qualify if we ended things right now. But we won't. We still have 3 more days and 2 more matches to finish off the day here first. S-Eagle squad after that last match. They had a pretty insane
they came into.
I was going to ask,
That's where I was getting a little bit caught up on, but I just forgot that they did have, of course, acquiring SBG's slot from their previous qualifier. They got 6 bonus points coming into this one, as well as Team Spirit as well, adding those bonus 10 points in, which has really kept them alive so far. And they do start to feel like they're getting more and more momentum moving into this one, so hopefully this Miramar will be good for them, as our players are getting locked and loaded and ready to head to the desert once more.
Yeah, our last Miramar was very odd, I would say, in terms of positionings a lot of people took. However, it quickly changed towards the end game in terms of some teams being a lot stronger than others, with Star actually taking advantage of the fact that a lot of teams decided to split up a lot towards that end game, which I didn't really understand from Getzo, but again, if Star wanted to pick up a big win off the back of that one, which they did, I think it was a 15 elim and the chicken dinner, 25 points. They were happy to take it. So hopefully this time around it's a bit more spread in terms of the positioning that's taken around the circle, as opposed to everyone heading to the same spot.
Plane path Impala over towards the northwest side, between Ruins and La Cobraria on the northwest edge. Big babies out early over Puerto Paraíso. Looks like one for all to Impala. Not too much drama there. pretty kindly on the early drops for now.
Most teams just waiting to get into position. Again, with this kind of playing path, it does sort of cut off Chumacera, La Griera. El Pozo's pretty viable spot to be in. But obviously, a lot of teams will just want to drive on across, try and spread themselves out around the map as much as possible, make sure they can get their looting done. Miramar's a map that takes a lot of smokes, a lot of utility required, and that's something we've seen a bit of a lack of so far in these qualifiers. So those teams will need to get that sorted.
To keep those things going. And again, we're going down southeast. The circles are not being nice today. They have not got the memo. Teams are trying to put up as many points as possible, and they're just making life a living hell for them. Dagestan and S-Eagle squad close by, but in Los Leones there's a lot of places you can get lost, so don't really need to fight off against one another just yet. Maybe on the way out, though, because those positions to the east, they should be fairly familiar with them, having just played them. We'll be heading on in soon.
What's Paraiso taken up by Big Baby? And again, very much southeast circle. Teams have already seen this one, looking to go for something very similar to what we saw last time. We'll head on down here eventually. Taking a look at some of the other spots around the map, we are very cluttered over towards Hacienda and Picado. So a lot of these general rotational points, which people like to take, are cut off slightly. So teams like Far Voice, Getso, Star, and Asia Mix, they're going to be struggling to get in down towards this southeast side. But, you know, with some pretty creative rotations, it's still possible.
I mean, there is always that long slingshot west coast rotation, right? Go past, even through Partona, right, on that south edge. You could potentially go on the South Islands and continue up on the road to try and crash in towards Puerto Paraiso. Might be cut off fairly soon. Depends where Team Spirit wants to go. I'll be interested to see what their rotation is. The north side of Los Leones will take them a lot closer to a lot of other teams, and if they opt to go south, that might cut off that sort of a rotation. So potential for that to close fairly quickly if Team Spirit opt to go for that. Brothers in Arms, these guys kind of have probably one of the more difficult decisions, I think, over towards Hacienda, over towards San Martin. Needs to connect. Ooh, doesn't quite do it. On the leap there. Brothers in Arms, they've got a lot of teams around them, and they're kind of in the middle of these teams that all need to make the decision as to where to go. Do you go directly in? Do you split wide? And a lot of their options are going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I think I already appreciate the fact that a lot of our teams have moved further around the map, trying to occupy more space this time around after getting a feel for their last Miramar. But again, heading through to the southeast side of the map is not as much as a mad dash for a lot of these squads this time around, with Eagles having a lot of space to play with, as do Dagestan. But again, this is more of a case of in about 5 minutes' time, you'll see teams trying to make their way through. We already saw a lot of this before. Most teams aren't trying to head down towards the eastern side, the peninsula, down on that edge. One for All might even want to take up the southern compound that sits just underneath Labadid that we saw Getso take last time, though.
Far West, they are starting their trek. Going to be moving past Monte Nuevo, down through the fields on the east side of it. Getso a little bit slower on the uptake for the rotation. Couple more players rolling with the pump action. I like it. Not quite as satisfying of a sound as the DBS, but 2 tyres, back to 4. That's how you want to drive your cars. Yeah, the pump action, I kind of like it. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot slower fire rate, obviously, but can be effective when you're going for those quick stutter peaks.
Yes, sometimes, but not always.
Difficult.
Not always. It's difficult.
To handle.
It's difficult to handle. It's definitely difficult to handle. Yeah, Strangers actually making their way in past Los Leones, going to be looking for a position on that side of the map. 8-8 Academy struggled last game, but again, coming through from that roadside on the north, it's really rough at the end of the day, and they were coming in a little bit late. Most teams were already set up down toward Milta. So yeah, pretty tough start for them. Nomi tries to take a quick spray over towards Far Voice, isn't able to make it happen, and they are finally in one of their preferred spots down towards Chumacera.
Yeah, for Team Spirit, that will be familiar territory. Nomi is pretty isolated as it stands. But Farvoice, luckily for Team Spirit, not going to really try and engage that position. And instead, just going to prioritize getting into the circle. Strangers, they've gone over the north side of Los Leones now. Into the hills to the southwest of Impala. That bobbly terrain, difficult to navigate, but the buggies, fairly chill with it. They got the suspension. Look at that, eating up those bumps.
Damn. He's just having fun with it right now. It's like, I love the buggy.
Yeah.
He knows the camera's on him too.
Yeah, he's dirt biking or riding those dunes like 7WG.
He's just doing all the jumps.
He's jumping about like 7WG over the dunes.
He's loving it.
Oh yeah,
I respect it. He's having fun.
There we go. Give him a spin. That was entertaining. I was mesmerised just then. I think that was slightly hypnotic. Get that out. Dagestan on the east side now, on the high ground, overlooking the rotation potentially for S Eagles gang. Maybe danger here for OMG. He gets away with it. The boom doesn't connect on a shot. Might on these though.
Goodness me. Dagestan, some really long shots there. Takes out the vehicle, that's out of commission. Cuts off that rotate. Again, this is a pretty important time to be taking out vehicles, especially because we are so close to the circle right now. So taking out means of disengagement is really important. Some more shots as well. Quick pickup from Eagles. Very nice. And Limbo's just a little bit too far away with that M4 to get too much done.
Yeah, having that smoke bloom on top of you as well just covers that slow turnaround when you're picking your teammate up. You do need to take a turn, which in general will just slow you down. So having that smoke up just covers you that a little bit more. So nice positioning, nice play to keep OMG alive for the time being. Ooh, this north rotation from 1715 GR, it is contested here with Blue TM, DX, and as well as Kanina Power close by. 1715 have actually managed to break away from that big pack on the north side, and Shockwave are going to meet the brunt of that force. Meanwhile, Team Spirit have gone around that south edge of Los Leones. I thought they might, but not going to go all the way to the coastline. Next circle just about to pop blank.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone for that quite frequently. I mean, honestly, last game, it didn't work out too well for them. Here's Shockwave versus Kanina Power. It's not really going all that well for either team at the moment. 2 players down a piece, but 1 flushed out for Shockwave.
Zero holding the high ground. A res potential here for Kanina Power. A little bit higher. Jakey has to crawl back, and with the time they're spending getting these reses, Vagnazada has a real chance to get Jakey back up and kicking. But with 3 players alive, and with the reses coming through on Kanina Power, the high ground position they hold over them, the work is cut out for Shockwave right now. They have a tall order, and they need to get on with it, because you've got Blue TM in the wings, ready for it. Asian Mix as well, going to be pushing it on the north side. This is the team 1715, who pushed on through from that northern edge. Now have to deal with strangers. Tornado has to hold the corridor. The shotgun's the tool to do it, though.
Monkey here drops the Molotov. Good molly as well. Brett with a nice little nade will hit Tornado. Phantom just trying to pre-fire the door, but Monkey will have to get out. I think he Molotoved himself, in fact. This is a difficult situation now for strangers. Kanina Power out in 16th. Really did not get far into this game whatsoever. That was versus Shockwave that we saw them fighting earlier on.
It was also against Asian Mix and Blue TM, who did manage to finally find those 3rd and 4th party positions. Just Monkey now left for Stranger. Has got the window to try and strafe around. The door opens, flung wide, and there is a knock sent in. The DBS finally connects to the back. It is going to be a little bit longer than maybe they wanted to spend, but the Strangers do go down. And now the res can come through, playing as 4, northeast side. Might have to worry about 1 for all, but not just yet.
Yeah, I think for 17-15, it's not a bad fight for them. They will get a big refresh as well on a lot of their util. I mean, for 1 for all, they've made the same play twice in a row now, which is very late exit from Impala, even when it feels like it's really not going to Impala whatsoever. And again, you don't want to be leaving Impala this late, especially off towards that western side, because so many teams are going to have to make that crossing through the fields. I am a bit skeptical about this push coming through from One For All.
Might be allowed to do it, though, with Shockwave not really flexing out fast enough, but we'll have to wait and see, because they left 2 at the back. Asian Mix, again, behind even One For All. They've been on the road for a while now. You're going to have to be pretty happy with those mares. Still, they're looking pretty decent on the supplies, right? It seems like they've even been carrying fuel cans with them, so they were prepared for this. Something they were expecting on this northern edge, but they most likely going to just crash straight into the back of One For All here. King maybe first up on the chopping block. 17-15 trying to defend their slice, but it's down south with the shift. That puts Big Babies actually in a pretty solid spot on the southeast side.
Yeah, not a bad position to be in for Big Babies. Again, they have struggled from this spot last game. They weren't able to quite move up towards that northwest side efficiently enough. Far voice down towards the south. Team Spirit have made a little bit more of a conscious approach here on the western side as well to try and hold out teams that might be pushing in behind them.
Looks like
again, this is
they're going to be that team.
Yeah, this is the difficulty for One For All, though. Like I was talking about earlier, John, is the case that now they're trying to push through onto the south, and every team's already made their way in, but they had such a good opportunity to have a stronger approach into this circle much earlier on.
17-15 on the north edge. They are just slowly creeping their way on in. The East Coast Road, I mean, it is still a little bit open, but Asian Mix are going to fight now with One For All over their chance to take control of it. Shockwave, they've managed to get further south as well with all 3 of their players. Did lose GG. Spray down from Ragnazada, not quite connecting that. Not going to be able to get it. I feel like he definitely does favour this pump action, though. This is, I think, the 4th time I've seen Ragnazada rolling with his pump action when he almost certainly had time to get any sort of weapon he wanted. It's an interesting choice.
It is an interesting choice.
I like it. It's bold. It's signature. It's got personality.
I do like a bit of personality as well, John. We do like it a lot. Shockwave, Ragnazada on our screens. This is not a bad spot for Shockwave. Unfortunately, down to 3 players, it's going to be difficult holding all the angles that are kind of essential on this position. Getso, I think, also are taking damage from Team Spirit, but Team Spirit have got to kind of aggress onto this spot here. And this is actually a very, very strong position to be playing for Getso. I really like this 4-story. It has some good peak angles. Again, though, for Team Spirit, they sort of just have to hold the angles a little bit. Eventually, Getso will have to move out, and they're moving out into the fielded area, John, which makes them pretty easy targets.
Yeah, they will be prime hunting right now for the teams around them. Team Spirit skirting the south edge. We're going to find their way in. It looks pretty clear ahead of Kitsune and Matic, but Nomi and Effect over on the north side close to Getso could have more trouble. Circle about to close. The north side is still absolutely the action spot right now, and that is going to make it even worse for them. The Eagles going to have to hold their nerve. This is a real test for them. Brothers in Arms going to start to move first.
Yeah, trying to move through. Difficult spot to head down, though. Already, we're seeing AA Academy taking a lot of damage. One For All, Flavius is knocked and flushed. Dagestan. On our screen, Zadira attempting it across the high ground. Not quite able to do it. It's the Eagles, who actually have moved pretty far up towards this north side. They're looking to clear, John. I really like that behaviour from the Eagles. They know they're strong. They've got confidence from all their games. Getso also finds a quick push down over towards Nomi, which makes things very awkward for them.
Dagestan trying to extricate themselves from this fight, but with only 2 players and 1 knocked. Even then, on 8-8 Academy, there's not really too much threat to worry about. Is Zadira going to take the cable car? I think it might be. Takes the zip line.
Going
straight on down.
I mean, repositioning from that location is pretty useful. They got a lot done over towards AA Academy as well from using that spot, and he has a pretty easy escape. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. But we're heading over towards the high ground over on the Eastern side that a lot of teams tried to take up last game. Didn't work out on Miramar, and now they're leaving it there.
He went on a little adventure. He was like, oh, that blue zone looks fun, and stepped out into the sidelines. Got knocked, and I'm surprised he didn't get flushed as well. Team Spirit. They did, I believe, no, they did manage to get Nomi back on up, and they're still playing this 2-2. Getso have moved in front of them now, onto the junction position, which sits ahead of Matic and Kitsune. I think Team Spirit are going to want to take them down now, because they've gotten too much up in their grill. There's not much more that you can do other than just try and clear out this angle. The fact that Getso are playing 2-2 either side of the road gives a little bit of an opening, but there's a lot of cover for these two players to play with.
Yeah, there's so many ditches around this area as well as you head further down the map here. It is fairly easily nadeable. The difficulty is that there's two separate ditches on that side, so it's hard to nade one without nading the other. And also you can peek over with Duchu in the back line there with Getso. So it's actually a really strong spot there in that 2-2 in terms of defensive capability. It's just weakened by the fact that if you're not good at dodging the nades in those ditches, Team Spirit might be able to roll over Getsu. And there's not a lot of other teams in this area. So, yeah, whoever wins that fight is likely going to have a strong position towards the endgame.
I'm interested in what Nomi is going to be able to do for Team Spirit as well, because if he pushes up and becomes this high ground sideswipe onto that angle, it's going to be huge. There's an opener. There's a double knock coming through from an A from Matic, and this could be huge. Far Voice Gaming might be able to third-party this if they've got the cojones for it, but they are wasting time, and it is burning down. 2 flushes immediately. Team Spirit up into the ridges. That means that Getso, they have to leave, right? There's no way you can hold across in nade range from Team Spirit, and even then, you might not be so lucky. And Getso are handled. Nice and effective stuff coming through from Team Spirit. They will hold all 4 elimination points to themselves, and now they have this southwest side.
Yeah, like I said, that is just a case of Getso really not understanding the power of that location all that well. You do have to peek up at some point. If you're playing on the other side of the road, you can't just leave your 2 members for dead on the northern edge. But yeah, so now Team Spirit have a very, very strong hold on that south side. They didn't lose any players, and they can move up onto that high ground with the massive glut of teams over towards that northeast. This becomes a game that, you know, Team Spirit could do well off the back of. Fortunately, recently, Team Spirit has kind of thrown these types of games away.
Yeah, they just make a misstep, leave someone out too far on a split, operate on a Matic Classic as he's back in the mix. We'll see if that's going to come to bear. Hopefully not. Hopefully they manage to patch those wounds and come back stronger. The scar tissue knitting itself back together for these players, for this roster that we've been long-term admirers of here over in EMEA. They're going to have to push a little bit further north, and actually Dagestan have a chance to hold it on out. You can see at the tables on the right-hand side, Dagestan trying to keep Team Spirit at bay. We'll see how much longer they can do that.
I think for Dagestan, they are holding some aggressive angles right now, and they're just flying high off the back of that last game, John, where they had a very, very strong finish for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So they're happy to hold just Limbo Boom and Zadira versus 4 players down on the south. Again, I think for Team Spirit to circumvent this, they will have to move over towards Far Voice, which is a potential for them. Good nade from the Eagles there. But now just down to 3.
Managed to get Devil back in. The nades over the top from Rolex. He steps out a little bit too bold, but he lands it straight onto Jakey there. Getting the flush onto the knocked player. Wandu and Vagnazada now continue to hold the mantle for Shockwave. Across the way, Asian Mix playing on with 4 players still. Close by to Morris. I think that's the last player for Blue Tiam. In the vehicle, biding his time.
Team Spirit still going strong down towards that south side, actually, getting a couple of knocks coming through their way. Big Baby struggling versus Star at the moment. Again, they just don't do too much from Porta Paradiso, John. It's a real struggle for them. Their game is just a little slow, in my opinion.
Pubg turns tail here and straight into the area controlled by the remnants of 1715. Pops the smoke out. Only 2 players alive for 1715. Asian mix. They're playing as 4, and they are actually starting to flex out to third party 2 engagements now. With Retro pushing down south, the remaining 3 looking up north. You can see they're there, giving trouble over towards the last player, Morris, for Blue Tiam, and Shockwave on that north side. The Eagles as well, finding it difficult to take off from that north edge. As Team Spirit still holding a wide split on their south side with Matic pushing close to Zadira and Dagestan on the south edge.
Yeah, Team Spirit have actually got a lot of space to play with just in terms of this high ground where it's just the lip that looks over the top. So realistically, Far Voice is the only problem for Team Spirit at the moment. They do need to keep tabs on Dagestan, which is what Matic's doing right now. He's playing a pretty crucial role for the team. Swinging off towards the left here. Yeah, good shots from Nomi. Finds Minotox from Far Voice.
That's what you need. Little opening. Far Voice continually penned in. Luna, close. Effect has the nade. Launches it over the top. That looks good. Will be able to find the knock-in immediately. His teammates have the ridgeline. That is what you want to see. Coordination from Team Spirit. They're up to 7 eliminations now. They've dealt with Far Voice. They have a lot more of the south side under control. Now they need to handle Star Esports as their rollover comes through. First player breaks the ridgeline. Effect pops the reload. Shum is down. There's the shots, and that's coming through from Asian Mix. This is a third party from the north edge. A lot of pressure being put onto Star Esports now. Shum needs to get picked up for them to have a chance.
Yeah, again, for Team Spirit, really needs to hold this team in place. They know that so much ground in front of them is just completely clear and available to be played in. So for them, Dagestan is the big problem, as is Star, but Star can be held at bay for quite some time here. There's more teams looking at Star than there is at Team Spirit.
Looks like they are going to allow Star to actually get a little bit closer to the circle. Nomi not going too bold. A 2-2 split and actually engaging with 2 rosters on either side of Team Spirit. This is where it can get dangerous for them. If they can play off one another, if they can play effectively with one another, slowly give ground and allow Star Esports to just keep walking into them, they might have a good chance here. But how much ground can you give before it becomes a problem?
Yeah, realistically, again, I think for Team Spirit, they understand that all they need to do is just keep pressure on these teams, keep them at bay. Eventually, Asia Mix is going to finish up this fight, and then the only logical conclusion for them to make is to head down towards that south side. So, Team Spirit, it's about keeping Star back until they take the fight with Asia Mix, and then potentially moving to clear out Dagestan on that western side. So, again, very passive play, but it looks like Star is going to go for a pretty full frontal assault here over towards Team Spirit, not giving them the chance of waiting.
Well, in the same vein that Asia Mix have that decision to make to push south, they're going to know that they're going to be under pressure soon. Star Esports, they're rolling on up, but now Team Spirit have regrouped. They've got all 4 of their players into position to handle this. Dagestan may have angles on it, though, and Kitsune a little bit wide here. Very difficult to make it work, but Default goes down to it. Not able to get an answer either. That'll slow Star Esports, but both of these teams are in this next circle. A long nade from Kitsune, goes high, goes short, spray down, connects and gets the second knock.
Yeah, it's a great shot there from Kitsune. Again, this is where they need to keep looking over towards that western side. Another nade from Effect goes through, great damage, a bit of a bouncer coming over the top there.
And it is an unstoppable tide of Team Spirit rolling around on the south edge. The difficulty now is that they have swept through, sure, but Dagestan have closed the jaws behind it. They've shunted Team Spirit away. This is exactly what Dagestan needed to do. They could potentially have third-partied this, but now Team Spirit can turn their attention over to that western edge. They need to either sweep or push up to Asia Mix.
Yeah, again, I think the east rotate is going to be difficult. I think that they've had tabs over towards Dagestan for so long, they're likely going to try and fight on that side of things just because they have a general idea of where they're playing, as opposed to Asia Mix. They have absolutely no info on them. Limbo Boom's really far away from the rest of the team, so if they do take a fight pretty quickly, then yeah, they're able to get something done. I think they did just get a res off onto one of their players. One player did go down.
10 eliminations now for both Asia Mix and Team Spirit. Shifu finds out just what took these players to PMWC. Has to back off immediately. Cannot be caught out like that. 3 players alive, you need everything to take on Team Spirit. It seems like they're beginning to establish themselves in this lobby. They're beginning to
becoming more about the info game, and they do just have to send a full 4 because teams just running at you doesn't often work, but running at just 2 players out of nowhere will devastate a team quite often. Asia Mix has made a lot of noise right now, and they are still shooting over towards Dagestan, and this is where Team Spirit could actually get a really good backstab. They have no idea.
Maybe that off angle. I mean, sure, they know there's a team down to their south, but Dagestan are getting eaten alive here across the way, and Asia Mix are putting on a show that we haven't seen from them so far. I mean, Keme is a name that many players will remember. It looks like Dagestan want to try and exact a toll on the rest of the circle as well, though, because Kitsune is down. Does have a position in this first circle, but the next one not so lucky. The reses can come through, and no rollout is coming from Asia Mix. But I'm enjoying what Asia Mix are bringing here. They're up to 11 eliminations now.
Yeah, not doing too badly in this game whatsoever. They have had a fairly easy game of it in terms of just the fact that a lot of squads have just on that Asia, which is really nice to see. But they are displaying some kind of prowess here in the end game. Some great long-range shots coming through from the squad.
Using their terrain well. Dagestan getting into this game late as well. 4 eliminations found. A good way to convert off their previous chicken dinner, which was pretty huge. 21 eliminations. Nearly 20. But they'll be okay for now. Team Spirit mounting up. This is the move. They're choosing to go towards Dagestan. They know there's only 2 players alive. Kitsune is buggy, not looking super healthy. But Limbo Boom is exposed. Pretty solo, split away from Zadira. And now, being as close as they are, they can hit the deck, get some healing, relaunch up. And actually, Asia Mix are taking some casualties from Brothers in Arms, and they're going to have to handle it. Matic spots Limbo Boom, and now Team Spirit have more influence. Brothers in Arms behind their ridgeline. All right, still doing a lot of work over towards Asia Mix. Limbo Boom gets flushed out. The play zone takes Zadira down, which takes Dagestan all the way out. And now, Asia Mix, they're playing with 4. They did manage to get those 3, sorry, as Brothers in Arms took 1 player out. Team Spirit can now use their numbers advantage.
Yeah, and this location that Dagestan was playing is by no means bad. It has like a lot of angles to play from. They just didn't have enough angles themselves to take advantage of it. In the meantime, Team Spirit's got 4 players to work with here. And we're in the last circle now. And it really is, in the last circle, all about member count. So I think for Team Spirit with 4 angles to work with, as they push their way across, looking to try and head further central so they can isolate some of these teams as they're forced to move before them. This is a smart play.
Looks like, I mean, Brothers in Arms, it felt a little bit timorous there. They had some vision cover towards Asia Mix. They could have taken some shots over towards Team Spirit, but didn't manage to peek over the top. The spray down to 1 looks okay, but there's the response. Immediately, a flush, a knock. Team Spirit putting pressure onto everything. Asia Mix are crumbling. Woodson rolls forwards, but Team Spirit picked that up happily. 13 eliminations, only Matic's gone down, and Asia Mix are on 2. Effect has the sideswipe. Keme ducks back into the blue. He's the last player to stand, and the zone takes him out. It is Team Spirit to push back on through for a chicken dinner. What a way to ramp up into today's matches. Team Spirit, they started slow, but they are gathering momentum.
Yeah, really good game there from Team Spirit. Again, it felt very coordinated, and it's a different type of gameplay there from what we saw in their first Miramar, which was very disjointed down towards that southeast side of the map. This time around, they just probe it a little bit, figure out where they want to go next. They find Getso, they hold them out, and again, this feels much more akin to the Team Spirit we've seen in the past. I also like the way Matic played that game, take advantage of what he's good at, which is off-angling, and I think a lot of times in those other matches, it did feel a little bit like the rest of the team wasn't that confident in him doing it, but he opened up a lot of those fights for them. It just means that they need to be more confident playing as a 3-man whilst they wait for Matic to sort of be like the can opener in those engagements.
It looks like Asia Mix are able to open plenty of cans themselves. A can of whoop ass, at least, on the lobby. 12 elimination points found and 18 points on the game. So a good result for them, whilst being quiet completely for the rest of the day so far. A lot of big old duck eggs on this second page here, from 11th to 16th, 0 points earned. That's not good news. A lot of points sponged up by Team Spirit, by Asia Mix as well at the top. So good stuff from them. A resurgence on the cards for Team Spirit. It's good to see them back on top. We'll see you guys in a few. Be jumping back over to the grassy pastures of Erangel. Of course, where else would we go to close out the day? It is going to be lovely. I'm assured that it is going to be pretty hectic as well, given what our previous matches have been like.
Always hectic there on Older Angle. I think with the circles we currently have, it's been a little bit insane, let's be honest. But we'll see. Here's our overall rankings, and Team Spirit have managed to shoot themselves back up into first place despite the start they had today. If they lost their 10 points, they'd be on 49 points, and they would not be in first place. They would just be under third, so they'd be in fourth right now. So those 10 points definitely carrying them a little bit up towards that top side.
Yeah, they would. I think they just beat out 8-8 Academy, but if we're removing bonus points, then they'd be even further down, right, on 36. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and we'll have to see. But that is the benefit of those bonus points, right? That previous season performance, that is the small starting block head start that you get. So Team Spirit going to be happy about that. They've got one more match to try and extend that lead, and it does feel like we're seeing a clear front set start to emerge, although everything can change in the blink of an eye. It's still not out of the question for pretty much any team. Asia Mix launching themselves up as well, a lot higher off the back of their previous match's performance on that Miramar. 25 points now total in 10th place.
Yeah, not bad at all. I think for some of our teams towards that top side, it's very much deserved where they are currently. I think that some of our teams, some of our tournaments we've had where it feels like some teams got quite lucky and got towards that top side. But I think every single team there at the top has definitely proved their worth in gold in terms of the plays they've been making in game, and the chicken dinners have been able to pick up. So pretty pleased with it. And even Team Spirit at the top side there, yes, they've struggled a little bit towards the beginning of the day, but they have stayed in it. And I think that's what Team Spirit is usually quite good at, is being able to maintain a certain level of performance to the point where they're not just getting 0 pointers all the time, and even if they're going out in like an 11th place, they're still getting 6 to 5 elimination points. We'll see how long that continues, though. But that is sort of the confidence game that I think Team Spirit desperately needed. That was a very, very well played game. It was a very well coordinated game, and if they can keep doing something like that going into tomorrow and this last match, they're sure to be in that top 2.
Yeah, it felt like, I mean, especially in that first match, you were kind of highlighting it, right? A very respectful style that the Team Spirit were adopting. It feels like they've just upped the disrespect a little bit, which is...
They need to, yeah.
And frankly, they are just better than a lot of the teams in this lobby, right? Well, they should be anyway, given their prestige, given their history, their experience. This is a roster that should be mopping the floor with every other team by rights. But that's sometimes, and they found out about it. And so they just added that disrespect in, and bang, all of a sudden they start flying.
Yeah, technically right now it's actually a very, very good time to be having that sort of understanding some troubles with bringing a new player in, and also a little bit of a player like Matic. He can be sometimes around. So I think that, you know, for Team Spirit, this is a very, very good opportunity for them. 4 days play style and how they want to work around it in a pretty, let's say, a more casual format. There's still the pressure to get into that top 2, but it is still a more casual format where they can get used to playing with Matic a bit more.
Oh, another pretty mean start. The playing path goes really heavily south this time. Potential for a few teams to drop onto military base. I wouldn't be too surprised to see maybe 2 teams go towards that main military base and a team over in Novo, given that you're really taking away places like Severny and Yasnaya from being super viable. Even Pubg is a bit of a stretch for these teams, so we'll have to see if the backup drops start to come through. Looks like Primorsk still fine for the Eagles. Team Spirit, they are going to be launching out. Their farm split should be fine. Not too many teams heading down south, but they should just be hopping out of the path now. Getso be leading the charge down there.
Yeah, heading straight over towards that south side. For Team Spirit, very easy drop. Actually, this is probably one of the easiest playing paths for Team Spirit. For Eagles as well, down towards Primorsk, really, really nice stop off for them. So again, for some of our, I think we do have quite a lot in our lobby that like to drop far down towards the south side of the map. But we get a very northern circle here. So, yeah, rough for the players today. I'm not going to lie, it's been some very, very odd games, some difficult formats. I think that's particularly devastating when you point to the fact that, you know, some of these teams are playing to heading towards a PMSL EMEA, which leads through to a lot of different things in the future, including maybe even getting a spot into the next PMSL, which is very, very important for your tournament life.
Yeah, absolutely necessary to be chunking on through that. God, that circle is, I mean, it's almost as northern as Calaris on that. That's pretty crazy stuff there. That is right up. Keeps the river in, though. And so that means that Rozhok, that high ground around it, can control a lot of those river crossings. Georgia Pole crossings will be at a premium. Potentially a swing past Stalber as well, if it comes to it. I'm surprised not more teams dropped in that military position. Instead, it's just the one in Novo, just the one in the military base. You've got Far Voice Gaming over in Novo, Getso Esports as well in that military base, the main area of it. Southeast coast, though, very, very heavily populated.
Yeah, I'm sort of curious to see why Getso actually dropped towards Sosnovka military base, considering they've been dropping fairly frequently over towards Ferry Pier. This time around, they're able to pick up that position for themselves. Feels like maybe there was some talks between teams and players that if they get a very southern plane shift, that Getso is going to head into military base and Thrall can pick up Ferry Pier off of them. So that happens quite frequently. It could be the case here. Again, a lot of teams realise that there's a lot on the line here. It can't really be a case of just having... you can't just have one horrible game because of a hot drop, which has happened a little bit so far in these matches, and teams really don't want to happen. Poker gets kind of destroyed by GG, and GG's almost had it. Almost had it.
Yeah, a bit slow on the trigger there. And unfortunately, does go down. No backup to speak of as well. That could have been 2 flushes, or potentially a 3v1 if they kept giving him these 1 versus 1s. GG, not quite able to convert, but Star Esports showing some weaknesses there, showing some potential mistiming on their peaks. Unfortunately, it is still very early on the drop, though, which means that likely... You know, not everybody's ready to go, not everyone's looted, not everyone's quick with the switch on, but you do need to be, even early, especially when you've got such a congested plane path, right? When it's so far south, you know there's going to be a lot of teams contesting for vehicles, for small buildings, for things like that. So you do need to be ready to roll to your teammates' aid as fast as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that some of these teams are getting caught off guard just by these weird drops on the sidelines. I think just dropping on a vehicle and trying to get gone as fast as possible is probably a good idea. And I don't think taking split trash loot this early on in the tournament is a good idea. I think tomorrow, once you can kind of go back and look through all the map voids and figure out where those openings are available, that's when you can start to take a little bit more of the split looting approach, especially on a south plane like that. It's a tough one. Not very advisable, I would say.
Getso getting on the road, trying to get past Blue Tiam, who before were holding out the bridge fairly effectively. See if they do the same here, or if Getso are going to be able to cross fast. Are Getso going to guard out Far Voice Gaming? They could potentially hold around the mouth of the bridge and catch a player or two from Far Voice, try and slow them down. See, Getso are being quite tentative on this crossing. They're waiting for something to go wrong, but right now it doesn't seem like there's going to be too much that will.
Yeah, it's Blue Team DX as well, brothers in arms on the other side, but I think both those teams aren't too concerned with taking any fights. Now I think both of them need to get on their bikes themselves and get some points on board. Blue Team DX haven't done too badly. I mean, 30 points, but they really haven't had the most standout performance so far. I mean, I've not really noticed them too much other than that game where they were playing up against Team Spirit on a angle over in Milta.
Magnazada, the rest of Shockwave, a little bit encircled here, but A-Tate Academy need to be careful because with Shockwave playing as a death ball, it's very easy just to lose a player, to get picked off one by one, and to have this surround crumble. Peachy, at the moment, the front man for the roster, closest to danger. But if they can find Ragnar, I mean, that's a huge push. If Shockwave can just push out the back, find Ragnar, isolate it.
I mean, it also could be just a huge push in general for points for Pitchy. He's in a dangerous spot, but also in the best spot to pick up a little off-angle approach. Seem to have no clue where he is either. Smoke goes out from Wagnazada to try and cover the approach there. Now Pitchy's in trouble.
I think they know. He's got that backline assistance. Oh, that's a huge Molotov.
Nasty.
That's a perfect Molotov onto Peachy. Pushes him onto the roadside. Wonder will spot the ankles. The spray needs to come in response. Where's the high ground off angle? That needs to suppress the roof, but it's not there. Peachy somehow gets back in. I'll put a big question mark on that.
Funny thing is, if they didn't drop those smokes there, potentially the view is not as difficult.
Oh, no. He stepped out of Magnazada. Looking to put the hurt down and will lay out the law. Peachy goes down, gets flushed.
Yeah, nice and easy. Very easy for Wagnazada. I think he realizes he needs to get the job done himself. Pitchy disconnects. Angry about that one. Jakey goes down. Now just two players there for Shockwave. And Big Baby's actually over on this eastern side. They're coming in pretty hot over towards Taverny, which is a big focal point of this circle at the moment.
Ragnar around the side, up into the top floor. Now actually being chased, being hounded down. Magnazada, not the person you want on your tail, but 1-2 goes down as he hops out. He isn't the old switcheroo. Now I'm on the ground floor. It's your turn to be upstairs. Descends the staircase this time. Gets a little bit less aggressive with it. And there's the shot. Magnazada nearly finds the knock. Doesn't quite get it. Is there a third-party potential to come through? I'm not entirely sure. There's a team close.
It's happening.
It's coming through over on the east edge.
Yeah, it was in the elimination feed. Big Baby's taking out people. Magnazada finally falls, but now A8 Academy have got to deal with Big Baby, who are on that eastern edge. They're coming in for a while now. Circle shifts over towards shooting range, so those wooded hills over towards the western side of shooting range can be very, very important to take control of. Ked just kind of stands out in the open and takes the shots.
Now's going down here. Lonely stands out in the open as well.
Yeah. I don't think they have a clue where iNows is.
Yeah, he's a secret. Don't tell anyone.
Pretty much. Shoot. Yeah, it still has no clue where iNows is.
He can't do. Oh, okay. Now that surely they know now. Surely he's got the message.
He's still not looking his way. He will have an angle on him soon.
He should do. I mean, it depends if they know where he is, right?
I'm pretty sure they know where Duchu is. There's only so many places he can be. And this is one of them.
They're in the blue zone as well. This has gone terribly for Getso.
Yeah, they've kind of just stepped up and then died.
It's just fundamentally.
Yeah, they have the angle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but they know where he is. There's the stunner.
Something at him.
I think did he drop a smoke just on top of him just there? Breaks out wide. Fuchu jumps on out. Doesn't catch anything.
Weird engagement.
What is going on? Okay, get some dead. Right. Okay. Nothing happened. Don't worry about it. Now let's get off the bridge because the circle's actually over in Saverny. So, gotta get there. Pretty sharpish. In the meantime, 8-8 Academy. They lost Peachy, they lost Levi, but they've got Ragnar still fighting.
I mean, this has just been an all-around very strange start to the game. Speaking of strangers will take themselves a knock from Canadian Power over on their eastern side. But they do have themselves a strong position to be playing with here in Saverny. They can still push back over towards the eastern side, so Saverny's by no means a bad spot to be playing in. Look at that, though. Look at the amount of teams just trying to shift in from that east. They've all made the Kameshki rotate to me.
It's just...
It's quite funny.
It's just how it is. Sometimes everybody does the same thing.
You don't have to do that, though. You can just go over late. Yeah, that's also gross. That's almost as gross as the 5-man Kameshki rotate.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these circles today. Give our teams a chance. Oh, goodness me. Nobody else is in Saverny. Oh, wait. There is one other person.
Yeah, it's Mr. Ragnar himself.
Oh, nades himself.
He's naded himself.
Ragnar played that really well.
Yeah, he intended for that.
That was an excellent play from Ragnar.
He's good close on the door, actually, as well. He's really kind of running circles around him.
They're like, how has he done that? That's incredible. Meanwhile, they just nade themselves out.
They're going in the house. They've decided we need to use weapons
Put
against
us out
him.
our misery. Take Ragnar down. He's up. He's going to jump over and kill 2 of them. I'm guaranteeing it. It's a John Allen guarantee. 1.
I mean, Canina Power's here as well.
On the west side, you got Lucian. There's 2. I'm telling you. Takes 2 at least. Go on. A 3rd. Oh, okay. There we go. There's blue. Yeah, I'll be like, wait. There's a guy on that roof. But in the meantime, strangers, they do lose 2. Nearly 3.
Yeah, they're down to just the 2. That is pretty sad. Blue Team DX versus Asia Mix. This is the 5-team Kameshki rotate I was talking about, where everyone's just barreling into the back of one another right now.
They're just crunching on up. Noisy
big old roller coaster of a game.
I'm so confused. I mean, that was crazy what Ragnar was just able to do against strangers.
I mean, I think he wins the fight if it's not for the third party.
I think so too. He took the wind out of their sails completely.
Asia Mix alongside with Blue Team DX. Some pre-fires going on. Very wary of these buildings.
I mean, as you should be. When you're in this close proximity, a snake changes the fight completely, right? If you take 1-2 knocks, we saw it with Rolex and OMG back in Mill to Power, the second angle of the day.
Yeah.
A snake can completely destroy your push, even if you're at a numbers advantage.
Asia Mix is Kame. Not sure he's just trying to listen for the audio cues coming through from Blue Team DX. This is not really worth fighting over it anymore. I think I said about this could shift back over towards the eastern side. And if I'm Kanina Power, yes, I could pick up some third parties, but realistically, they're not getting too much done from this spot. Potentially move over towards the ridge where Dagestan's playing. And it's tough. There's very little space to be playing in, so I think Kanina Power is just happy with the fact that they have some buildings to work with.
The Dagestan position, it feels like, it's going to be a linchpin position. That ridge line that sits on the southeast of this circle, likely going to be central in the next circle as well. That split, can they hold it? They were able to do it on the cliffs of Milta. Will they be able to do it up north on the ridge lines near Severny?
Yeah, the tough part comes for Dagestan, where they have to hold out all these teams in Severny, because there is an insane amount of squads in Severny right now. And then you also have to do that whilst worrying about Team Spirit potentially pushing up on your south side, which they are doing right now, in fact. Yeah. Kemi goes down.
Should get res, though, very quickly. And Strangers biding their time across the road. Maybe they're just waiting for those nades to start to ring out. They're waiting for an intense burst of gunfire before they get across this road. They know they need the attention drawn away.
Asia Mix lost. Up towards Blue Tian DX, the longest engagement in the world right now.
Morris in the corner, UMP biding his time, waiting for the door, but it's not there. He just waited too long. He tried to get too frisky with it. That is going to be them taken down. The Eagles got taken out on the southwest side in the meantime.
Just felt like he forgot to press the trigger.
He thought he was being crafty. He thought he was a sneaky guy.
Well,
Dear reader, he wasn't.
I feel like you play that crossfire to support your teammate. You don't play trigger discipline. They're already in the building.
Oh yeah, if I wait, I can line up 3 of them. No,
just some nice nades.
Just take the spray. Unfortunately, they're not really connecting for Kanina Power.
No, it's a good setup though.
Yeah.
But yeah, HMH just all sits at the back of the building. They've cleared them out technically.
That is true. Strangers, backstab onto Kanina Power. Interesting. They wanted to disengage, but they realised, hang on a minute, there's really nowhere we can go. Let's just take the back of this fight. Perks realises that. Worried that there's a player in the building, but he's looking at the wrong angle. One goes down, a second maybe, as Tree stays alive. The player goes upstairs for Kanina Power, an immediate descent from Asia Mix. Push forwards. The rest of Kanina Power can't really get this done. Tree has done so much work. Elisio's there. The burnout is through, and Tree jumps out, hops across the window, and finds another. Kanina Power with one player upstairs, shut down the ridge and shut down the staircase. 2 players out. Strangers fall.
Yeah, Asia Mix just get themselves pretty much a free third party off the back of that one. That one went terribly for the boys on Kanina Power. 3 elims. They have not been having the greatest of tournaments so far. Strangers have had the weird ability to bring things back in what felt like dire moments of their game.
Not this time around, though. They'll be sat back. Brothers in Arms taking shots from Team Spirit. They're very, very crunched in, our Brothers in Arms, and I don't think they're going to last too much longer here. You can see Dagestan on this long split, cutting the middle of this circle entirely. Zadira has the angle against Dennis, and he's taking shots to their backlines. Big Baby are suffering right now. Their split cannot look for reses, and Zadira wants to put more pressure on this angle. I mean, why not? He's been so dominating, and now he's got Shifu at his back to give him that off angle, to give him that support, that confidence to go for beats, go for those flushes. It's working out.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's been a solo player on this side for so long, and I'll just request a little bit of support, and that support basically comes through, and they take down 2 players from Big Baby who have not been able to hold this position whatsoever. It's fantastic stuff. Team Spirit, though, could capitalise off the back of that, take control of the ridge, but I don't think they realise that Dagestan is holding such a massive, aggressive split versus a lot of these teams.
You've also got to worry about that Asia Mix position, right? You go for a fight on top of that ridge. Asia Mix roll out third party so quickly. They're waiting for an opportunity. They are begging for it to come their way. And as soon as it does, I'm sure they're going to roll straight on out and into the fight. Stira just trekking his way back. parkour across the cliffs. He knows where he's going, or maybe not. He slipped down.
And he's gone.
It's fine. He's got the beach. He can get back to his team.
Take the long way around.
He meant to do that.
Yeah, that's a very Zadira moment right there.
It's actually, I don't even. Yeah, it's the best play.
Big Baby now down to 2. Tough game for them as Team Spirit just about starts to push up over towards that ridge side that we were talking about earlier, John.
Yeah, that central cut on this ridge, still on the northern edge of it, has so much control with so much water still left in.
It's one of the only bits of high ground left remaining now. I think if you can take up Mantle on that spot, it's good. That might be an awesome day, but just a little bit too short.
Yeah,
the burst on it was awesome.
Saw the zone to take him down there, but no. Still got some cover. Big maybe might go down and leave the player from start alive, because they're going to have to get out of there fast as well. Shots from the back, putting pressure on. Still has 3 first aids, but catches a bullet. That's too much lead to handle. Will go down. Play zone. Takes him out of it. Start eliminated. Big Baby will try and drift their way to a beachside position. Get into the water. You might survive a little longer.
Just a touch. That's all you really want at this point in time. And again, with the amount of water that's still in the circle, why not, right? Why not? Try and pick yourself up for top 5, which is perfectly doable at this point in the game. Dagestan retreat back over towards that compound that sits on the western side. As Shifu takes a heavy hit there from 17-15. We'll have to back out.
Shifu goes down. Okay. That's pretty rough stuff. Shifu on the buggy. He's going to be calling for a res. And remember, because Dagestan were holding such a wide split, they're pretty disparate from one another, which means that responding to this knock, not easy. You can see Zadira kind of isolated now. Without Shifu there, the backup is gone. Has to bide his time, maybe think about Limbo Boom jumping out. You can see those smokes starting to establish themselves. Baban, if he finds the shot on towards Zadira on this northern point, this is a different game. This opens up. Team Spirit can push in. Asia Mix have also legged it from Zerni.
I honestly think that ridge side over towards that eastern edge is very, very strong, and I get why Dagestan did move over towards one of the only building within the circle, just because of its defensive capabilities. But still think that high ground would have been very good to hold on to for quite some time afterwards. Good shots from Phantom. Obviously, this is just a observer bug. He can see through the door. He's not walling.
Yeah,
the door doesn't exist. Yeah.
There you go. You can see it.
Disappeared into like
a phantom.
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Baban goes down, and that's the final player from Big Baby out. Now Zadira has to figure out some way of escaping this location. In the meantime, Asia Mix does find Nomi. It's right on that backside, and there's nades galore coming through.
Oh no, effect down as well. Keme and Lost holding face right now. 2 players, Retro and Dimmy as well on the back. Need to find more. Effect does get flushed, and Team Spirit are bleeding right now. They've been cut. Asia Mix want to put this one to bed. Nade splits Keme and finds one. Matic now over the top with a buggy. Looks for the flush. Challenge, and Lost goes down. Kitsune holds his nerve. Across the top, it's Retro in the buggy. Kitsune takes him out of it and immediately goes down. Will not be able to find the shots behind the rock. Matic is still fighting on with 1 player left standing. It's a 1 versus 1. Retro steps out, and Team Spirit fall. Asia Mix take them down. 10 eliminations. Another big game for them. But Dagestan now, with the meat and potatoes of this game, will be able to try and take Team Spirit's top spot.
It was a very weird play there, actually. I quite like what Matic did, tried to wrap around the backside into a position where he could potentially backstab the push. He was a little bit late, but I think that did really rely on him trusting in Kitsune to get those first 2 knocks. A bit of an odd movement play there from the last player from Asia Mix, just swinging from side to side and then just pressing the trigger in the meantime. Works out, though. I think if Matic doesn't take that slight hit, that's a different scenario altogether. Dagestan take themselves another knock here. This is what I was talking about. Getting Shifu and Zadira out of the positions that they found themselves in, very difficult. So they have to take advantage of this split now, and Zadira needs to have some kind of potential in this game.
So controlling so far, but only 4 eliminations found for Dagestan. They really want to close this down, take Team Spirit's top spot at the end of day 1. Try and open a gap between them and their closer competitors. 3 players for them, 17-15. 4, but they're cinched together They've got the approach, this building for Magnum. It's what they've expended all of their resources to claim, and now is when that egg is going to come home to roost.
The egg?
Look, I said it. As soon as I said it, I knew what I'd said.
Gonna fly on back, is it?
Let's please move on.
Okay. Sorry. Let's see if
got to make
Dagestan
to break a few eggs.
That's true. Let's see if Dagestan can hatch some kind of plan out of this one. Zadira on the side. Some good shots from Phantom, I'm not going to lie. He's been pretty on point this game. Really long shots as well, but he's just out of meds. It's 4 nades, and he's getting peeked up by Asia Mix off in the distance.
With 4 players, that ridge line that Asia Mix have would have been so much stronger, right? And that's what Team Spirit were looking for, is what Asia Mix were looking for, but wasn't to be. Not this time around.
Yeah, I think for Team Spirit, it's sort of an odd push for them as well to anticipate, because realistically, a lot of the Severny teams should have left a lot sooner. But because Asia Mix was including a fight with 16 other teams in Severny, it took a while.
17-15. This ridge line is the only thing keeping them safe. But Zadira ready to exact a toll on them. Ooh, look at this flank coming through for Asia Mix. They're splitting. They're trying to pick up pieces. They know they're the outside chance right now. By default, they go out in third. So any sneaky little play they can get, any point would be great. And onto Magnum. Okay, Dagestan, this is the overextension being punished, but the nades flow back in from Limbo Boom. Find one. Can Retro get anything done? The shotgun in hand. The pump action around the corner. Magnum biding his time. Oh, that looked like it was on, but it wasn't. Another, a jump wide, and that's what you want to see. Dagestan keep things under control. Now, full attention can be sent over towards 17-15, but they've got the numbers. Can they roll over the hill? Zadira still on the off angle.
That's a very nice play from Asia Mix. I identify there's just one player inside the building, so they try and push onto it. Banner has to drop out the vehicle early. I think that's just a mistake, honestly. But yeah, they've got the 4 players. As soon as the Asia Mix moves off that ridge side position, it opens up so much more potential for 17-15, and they quickly take advantage of that. Very, very big fan of that play there from 17-15. They were held down for so long, but as soon as they see that opening, that door creak wide, they immediately take the high ground. It's very, very smart.
17-15 have some vehicles to play with as well. There's potential to crash in. The off angle comes out wide, and there's the strike. Magnum finds one, opens up, evens the numbers, but there's an answer. Magnum goes down, and that's an off angle. That's not coming back. An even 1-for-1 trade again, and Zadira now for Dagestan to try and keep things going. He's been a linchpin for the roster and will continue to be so. Dagestan able to take another chicken dinner, the final chicken dinner of the day as well, as we will be heading into those tables, and they will have taken top spot from Team Spirit.
What a strange push from 17-15. Decided to just go for the drive-by at the end of the game. I felt like they had a lot of control over that match, and they could have waited a bit longer, but instead go for something a bit interesting there. But it will be the chicken dinner going through to Dagestan, their second one on the day. They're really, really well done to this team. They even made themselves very far up into our last match there on Miramar, so they should probably be in first place now on the leaderboards. But 20 points total, 10 elims. Zadira's been having the game of his life towards that last match, and Shifu similarly had his double-digit elim game there on our angle, so this feels like their playground.
Asia Mix with a second big elim game as well. Team Spirit denied that opportunity from the same position. Unfortunate for them, that was a real crumbly kind of position on that southeast side, but still they put up some numbers, and Team Spirit, I believe, will end the day in the top 2, if not the top 1, because of course Dagestan were able to take a second chicken dinner today and streak out towards 74 points. 2 teams currently over a 10-point average. That's Team Spirit and Dagestan.
Yep.
60 points would be a 10-point average, so they are pushing far over that. Dagestan actually over an 11-point average, which is really impressive.
And this is kind of what we expected, really. So there's going to be a big discrepancy between the top-ranking teams and the teams further down towards the bottom of the tables, which is completely fair. But Dagestan, definitely a team that a lot of people are hyped about and still hyped about. They were a strong squad back in the day. They're still a strong squad now, and it's nice to see that Shifu still has some of that bite left in him that we used to see. But yeah, I'd be happy to see them in the top 2 completely.
Yeah, a Dagestan team spirit potentially. I feel like that's kind of that kind of makes sense. So if you guys want to keep track of just how these teams are faring over these days, some stats will be thrown out, I'm sure, some updates and things like that. Head over to the socials, PUBG Mobile Europe on everything except for TikTok. Add an official on the end of that because it's just so official. Oh, but you love to see it.
It's beautiful. Good to see. So make sure you are checking out those socials and stay up to date with the show because we'll be back very soon. Thank you again for watching the show. My name is Blank. I've been joined today with the beautiful John Allen, and we shall catch you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Bye.